Well, good morning, everybody. Ben and Woods, 97.3. The Fan. It's good to be back with you guys after a nice weekend in San Diego, certainly. Today is Monday, October 30th. Let's get our heads right for the second to the last day of October. Just 2 more months, man, and we are out of here, 2023. Pretty insane. This year has flown by. There's no question about it. It's great to be here with you, though. I'm Woodsy. That's Paul Reindl, our executive producer. Good morning, Paulie.
Good morning.
Great work last week when the man to your right, Benjamin Higgins, was on a golf vacation in Scottsdale. Paulie did a very, very nice job, and we got through it. I'd say Thursday was better than Friday.
Yes.
To be sure. There was a lot more to talk about. It was a little bit dead on Friday, but
we were burned out on Friday.
we were a little fried. It was
nothing
like
new. It was just so Schultz or Flaherty.
Right. It was a Friday, but it was a fried Friday. We were pretty gassed. But listen, we made it through, and now Benny is back. Welcome back, Benjamin.
It's great to be back. Well, actually, no, it was great to be on vacation.
Yes.
And now I'm just back. But no, I had a really nice time, and it was pretty much one of those, maybe one of the better vacations I've gone on because I really didn't do anything I didn't want to do.
That's the best.
It was the entire time I was there was just, if I wanted to relax, I was relaxing, playing golf. Just it was almost perfect.
It was like me, and sometimes you need those type of vacations. It's nice when you go with your family, but that's them. That's them. What about me?
In fact, I would say only one thing really went wrong on the vacation. I played good golf, really had nothing to complain about. Hotel was good, service was good, golf courses were gorgeous, beautiful. I played pretty decently, which I almost never do when I'm traveling. It's always hard to bring your best game to different courses you haven't seen before, but I got better as we went along, shot a 77 in my final round, but I did have one moment where I pulled, I guess, an Arizona Woodsy while I was there.
Got arrested.
Didn't quite get arrested, but we were driving to dinner, and, we're trying to figure out where we're going, following the phone, the app, the directions, and I was, is this the turn? Is this not the turn? And I guess I reacted too late, and, I thought the light had just turned yellow, but I went through the intersection and get the flash.
Oh, you're done.
Of the
you're dead.
of the red light camera in Arizona.
Enjoy. So that's coming.
Expecting that in the mail coming up sometime this week, but that would probably be the only L that I suffered over the weekend.
Which, by the way, is a big one. I mean, good luck topping what happened to me and Paulie when I got 2 in the same trip. Got 1, paid it.
I felt like I nearly got one like 3 intersections later.
About 4 days later, there's another one. I'm like, well, this is a miss. This is... You've already sent me one. No. This is a completely different one from a different time. You stupid bastards in Arizona. I can't stand you. I love your golf courses. I love your spring training facilities. I love your baseball fields. I've had many a good time playing in tournaments out on those baseball fields.
Your automated citations, though,
it's garbage.
Are not the best.
Entrapment is what you do. You just entrap people. Why don't you get your cops out there and actually come and get me?
I have a witness in the car who says, I think you were already in the middle of the intersection. I have no idea what the rules are in Arizona.
Well, you'll see the picture.
So,
you will get the picture.
All right.
I'm pretty sure they manipulate those. There's a way that they can manipulate the speed, and just because you told me that I was speeding doesn't mean...
I don't think I was speeding. I think I was just maybe a hair late into the intersection.
It is so anti-American to have that. It is just... If you... Listen, all being a criminal is, it's a cat and mouse game. You're the cat, I'm the mouse. If the mouse gets away, the cat doesn't send him a bill and say, you got me this time. But you owe me $100 or whatever it's going to be. My speeding ticket's there. They didn't even have the guy in the car. It was an empty car. I'm like,
I remember it vividly.
I can see it in my mind going
right past a 7-Eleven.
What's he doing there? And I go, there's not even anybody in there. It's just a gun on me.
And they got me. And then you ended up getting the ticket.
Got the ticket, and super fun. I hate those things, dude. So anti-American. Oh, boy. Well, it's now you just wait, and you go to the mail, and you're like, is today the day I get to light $350 on fire? Like, it's just the worst. It's funny you mention this. I have another story. I'm going to put my wife on hold for a second because she's in the chamber today. Like, what she did on Saturday night is I take a lot of grief for doing things like this. What she did on Saturday night is so effing priceless. you guys are going to lose it. But in the same traffic vein, Ben, I was telling our friends on the live stream about this on Friday night. Paulie and I did a member stream. You can sign up at youtube.com, search Ben and Woods if you want to be a member, do these live streams with us. I got a speeding ticket not too long ago, and I did the route of, hey, I pay an attorney $100. He goes to court for me. I don't have, he'll try to fight it. So I then get the thing back in the mail. Yeah, sorry, you lost. Here's your fee, $300 plus. You can also take defensive driving to keep the points off of your license and your insurance. Okay, I'll do that. So Friday rolls around. I'm waiting for the live stream. It's about 2:30, and I go, Hannah's taking the kids somewhere. I got the house to myself. It's not really what I want to do on a Friday, but I will. So I go search the approved list of defensive driving places. Well, find one. I think it was even called like quick, easy, and fun. And I was like, I'm in. This is all the things I like the most.
I bet it was neither quick, easy, nor fun.
So I'm like, well, that's
Tell
right.
me how fun it was.
Right up my alley. So I go in, I pay the $36, I sign up, and we start to roll. And there's 14 tabs. Okay, remember this. Tab 1. Driving, tab 2, equipment, and I'm going through. Now, what they don't realize, and this is not BS, I think I've said this before, I'm not like, I can speed read. I'm a decent speed reader. I can glean what I need to glean from an article. I'm not Goodwill Hunting or anything like that. That's not what I'm saying. I have the ability, though. When I watch Jeopardy, I go, it takes me 1 second, and I'm like, what is Egypt? I can do it quickly. So that's what I do best is probably reading. So I go through. I'm like, yeah. Scroll down. They have 3 answers for 3 questions. Like Bo can answer these questions. They're moronic. So I answer them. I get them all right on all 14 tabs. I think I'm done. I'm like, this is great. Get through. Then there's a big green button. Click here to take final exam. I'm like, oh, final exam. Click it. Sorry, this material takes at least an hour to skim through. It's very clear that you did not. So now they've timed me. So now I have to go back to the top.
So you're saying you sped.
I sped
through your
my speeding thing.
Class.
So I flew through it. Now I have to go back to tab 1. Scroll slowly. So now I'm just faking it. I'm still not reading it. I'm just faking scrolling through it. It took forever. Get to the bottom again. No. You have to scroll through again and make sure that you read and absorb the material. When I tell you guys it took me an hour and a half, the live stream started at 5. I was taking the final exam at like 4:35. So then I get to the final exam. And I'm like, all right, well, I finally got through it. The most impossible questions you've ever seen. You had to get a 70 to pass. There was only 20 questions. I'm Googling the answers at this point. I'm Googling the answers because I didn't glean any of this information from it. It was completely different. Got through it, hit submit. 76. I was like, oh my God, I passed it. So I got through it. And now I feel like a much safer driver after getting through that.
It's all pretty much online now.
Yeah.
Traffic school. Paulie doesn't remember the days of yore when you would actually have to go and there'd be companies that would advertise. Remember
comedy
driving school?
I've done it.
I always thought, wow, that's got to be the worst thing to sit through. But now in my older age, that would be the worst job ever, to be the comedian driver school
I thought
teacher.
The same. Well, I thought driving in general.
You got to be funny in front of a crowd that doesn't want to be there.
More than anything, they don't
on
want
a
to be
Saturday
there.
morning for 3 hours.
And dude, it was like, Paulie, you sign up, man. It's really cool. You go to this comedy club at 7 in, and some guy's up there, doing Shecky Green material, and you're like, I just want to die. And your parents made you go because it's your first ticket or whatever, and you're like, I hate everything about my life. It never dissuaded me from speeding again.
But I never sympathized with the instructor. And now I realize that had to be one of the worst jobs you could possibly have. Comedy driving school instructor.
Driving school instructor in general is terrible. But like this one, what was it called? Quick, fun, and funny? Or what? Easy? Quick, easy, and funny. And fun? They had little jokes interspersed throughout the deal that were... It was horrific. But they got me. I did not know that they would throw the coup d'etat at me like that, and I had to like fake my way through scrolling it for. It took forever.
They tricked you into thinking it was going to be
easy, quick, easy, and fun.
Basically, one of those modules at work with the stupid, easy questions at the end.
That you can watch it on silent and get the gist of it. Wait, so I don't hand my password out at Vaughn's? Is that what you're telling me? Okay, let me select the right answer. Right, like
what's the best choice? Put your password on the internet for everyone to see.
Put it on a T-shirt and wear it.
Don't do that. Mm-hmm. I think I'm going to go with the don't do that,
bro. It was, but I got it done. 76. I mean, my heart was racing when the questions popped up. I'm like, these weren't in there. They never talked about this. There were numbers like distance. What's the distance you must have your lights on? I was like, I never saw that. It was, they get you. They got me good, but I got them in the long run. But they took up about 3 hours of my time on a Friday. But we did the live stream, Benny, with our members. It was a lot of fun. Told some great stories in there. I got to play some golf with one of our tier ones on because of the live stream. Our hillbilly buddy Foster called and he's like, "Hey, we need somebody else to play golf with us. Paulie won't do it." P word, and I got him on the speaker. Paulie's like, "No, I don't want to get up that early," and he's like, "You big old P word." And so Anthony, Butcher Anthony in the chat, Tier 1 Anthony, said, "I'll play." And he came out and rolled with us. We had a great time.
Did he bring any meat?
He did not bring his meat. I told him, leave your meat at home. Let's just play some golf. But we really had a great time. So it was good to hang out with him. We love doing stuff like that.
All right. Can you tell us all about your lovely bride when we come back? Because I am waiting to hear. You have not told me anything.
I haven't told anybody
what is going to happen here. So we'll play our daily ditty, and then Woodsy can take the floor and give us an update on what happened on Saturday night. Because I am dying.
Strap in for this.
I am dying to hear this coming up. And then we'll get into it, talk about the World Series first two games. Wow, that Friday night game, watching it in Arizona with a bunch of people. That was an emotional roller coaster for those folks, but they come back and win game two. We'll talk all about it. Busy football weekend. We'll have Jake Mintz from Cespedes Family Barbecue with us at 8:35. Should be a really good Monday show to start the week. Today is one of those sports equinoxes. You have football, Monday Night Football, baseball, basketball, NHL, MLS Cup playoffs, everything today.
I wonder what I'm going to watch.
You don't get those very often. So we'll get going with our daily ditty. My pick, again, to start the week. It's coming up next. Thanks for joining us. Make sure you stick around all the way until 10 o'clock because you don't want to miss anything, including all of Kelly's traffic reports. I saw a big wreck on the 5 as I was driving here this morning, so be careful out there. Here on 97.3 The Fan, it's Ben Woods.
sounds very low in my headphones. Paulie, are you playing this from a vinyl record that you brought in?
Nope.
Oh, look, great song. Jackson Brown.
Jackson Brown.
Running on Empty. Are you tired? Is that
No.
is that the theme?
No. Looking out on the road, I was driving 6 hours yesterday back from Arizona. Road tripping songs. Good songs about
Easy.
on the road or just listening to while you're on a long drive. Whatever you want.
Yeah, I've
road trip songs.
Got a ton of those that we can talk about. You guys wanted to hear what my missus did, and it is just next level. It is next level. We were invited on Saturday night to a gala, and I'm not the world's biggest gala guy myself, but it was to honor my father-in-law, Scott Glenn, who is a legend, just an incredible human, philanthropist, brilliant scientist. He's the whole package, right? Like, he can invent something, and then he knows how to market it. Like, he's just the whole deal. And Rolf Benerschke, former Charger great, Charger Hall of Famer, he was the keynote speaker, and he was the one honoring my father-in-law with the Legends Award at the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation. My father-in-law has just done some incredible things in that space. And it was a very, very fancy dinner and gala. It was black tie. Now, I wore a suit. Many wore suits, but there were people in tuxedos and whatnot. And Scott, my father-in-law, got up and did this just heart-wrenching, beautiful speech. And they're raising money as well for the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation. And what happens when you go to a gala sometimes, Ben? I'm sure this has happened. Well, probably not you, but do you ever get like caught up in the moment? And, you know, maybe you sign up for something that you really don't have any intention of winning, but you put your name down because you don't want to look like, you know, a freeloader.
Silent auction.
Silent auction came calling to our house on Saturday night from the missus. Now, I hosted a golf tournament one time, and I did that same thing. I got caught up. People were milling around and watching me, and I said, oh, yeah, I'll sign up for this. And hanging in my home today is a signed Johnny Cash album that I won there. Now, I love it. I look at it every day. It makes me happy. I love Johnny Cash. But I own that, and I had to stroke the check, you know, walking out the door of an event I emceed. Now, we were again.
Are you saying that sometimes you want to finish second in the silent auction bidding? Like,
almost 100% of the time.
Looking very generous. Look at that offer
look
that
at
Woods made, but he didn't quite win the item.
You also, like, you feel bad because there's nothing written down on it. And you're like, well, I mean, okay, I'll just put my name down.
Through the trouble of collecting this.
Maybe I'll prime the pump, and then somebody will be like, oh, I can beat her. Well, no, my wife went and signed up for one, a silent auction at the gala. Well, she won, everybody, and we are now. It was a staycation package, but it doesn't stop there. Let me read you all of the items that are now in our cachet of things to use eventually. Ready? A one-night stay at the luxurious Manchester Grand Hyatt, along with a delicious breakfast buffet for two at the Seaview Restaurant, and 2 tickets, any type, to the Rooftop Cinema Club.
Sounds like a great night.
Embarcadero. No passport required while enjoying a one-night stay at the Margaritaville Hotel, San Diego Gaslamp Quarter.
We talked about that.
We then get to...
It's exciting.
We then get to test our luck with an overnight stay, again, one night, at Sequan Casino Resort. Then we will maybe take a week off, then head out for another one-night stay at the local Embassy Suites by Hilton San Diego La Jolla. Then we have 2 tickets to Broadway San Diego's hit musical Peter Pan.
You love musicals?
I love musicals and theater, almost more than life itself. 2 tickets to any main stage performance at the North Coast Repertory Theater. 2 tickets to San Diego Zoo, Wildlife Alliance Zoo, or Safari Park. Tickets to the San Diego Museum of Art, San Diego Botanic Garden. 1-hour electric bike rental with e-rides. Then a 2-hour daytime pedal boat rental with Eco Boat Rental.
It's like a year's worth of activities.
Then Birch Aquarium tickets, 2 tickets to see Postmodern Jukebox at Humphreys by the Bay on November 15th. And if we're in the mood for some outdoor adventure, we have a Bailey's on Palomar Lodge certificate for a 2-night midweek stay on Palomar Mountain. We have all these.
Convenient.
We have. All right, guys, it's Tuesday night. Hannah and I are heading out to Palomar Mountain for our 2-night stay. I need somebody to watch the kids. So we got. Now, if it was a
So
stay.
essentially, she bid on everything there is to do in San Diego.
Pretty much.
Package.
Pretty much. And, like, really a bunch of stuff that we don't really want. Yes, there's piece. Like, all right, I'll be honest.
This is one auction item.
This is one altogether. It cost us a fortune. A fortune.
I was going to say, if you got it all for like, $75,
Oh,
you're good.
no.
What was the minimum bid?
$1,500.
Yeah.
Guess what she bid? $1,500. And we won.
No one came in with the price
I
that's
can't
right.
believe nobody else bid on that.
So
1,501.
we're watching the auction and the auctioneer's up there and she's doing the thing.
So
And
she
I'm-
was the one and only bid.
That was it. And it was like 10 seconds. I'm like, please, God, please, God.
I think, okay, here's my idea. Show bit, we have Woods Activity Week. You have to do everything in the basket in 1 week. Go from downtown to Palomar to La Jolla
To Sequan.
Sequan to the aquarium to the
Margaritaville.
theater to the movies on the rooftop.
Me on the 2-hour pedal boat
Everything.
ride. I hate this.
You have 1 week to complete
it all?
everything.
All right,
and document it.
If they said we'll give you your money back if you complete it, I would do it. I would absolutely do it. It was for me. It was the 1-night stay.
Checking in, checking out, checking in, checking out.
Pack, repack, pack, repack, pack,
Yeah, so
repack,
pack
pack.
up, head to the Hyatt.
Yep,
for one night.
One night. Go to
Then
Margaritaville.
Get an Uber over to Margaritaville the next morning.
The one night there,
Pack.
Or you just
unpack.
e-bike over
E-bike
and use
over.
that. You gotta be
Yep,
efficient
e-bike
with this
over.
plan.
dude. I go.
Wow.
I go. Did you not look at the print of like? Now, if it's a staycation package, here's a 5 nights at the Grand Del Mar. Fine, that's awesome. Like we're never gonna do that. Or that really nice hotel on the coast up past.
Yeah, I know where you're talking
I
about.
can't
Across
remember the
from
name of it.
UCSD
oh
there?
my
Yeah.
God, it's stunning. But no, the Embassy Suites. One night at an Embassy Suites, I'm like, Mom, Dad, enjoy when you come to town.
We got some
Mom,
real
Dad,
special for
I
you,
got
Gary.
Merry Christmas, guys. This is what we have a ball. See San Diego in all of its splendor. I looked at her and I wasn't mad. I just laughed. I go, here, you just signed us up for a nightmare. Is what you signed us up for. And now the only one I really want to do is the Margaritaville. That's the one I really, I'm down to do one night. And we may even make a weekend out of it, right? And take the kids and go to the zoo. Fine. All right. All good. But I go, did you not look that it was like one night at each of these places? And also, I think the Embassy Suites might be like by the airport. I'm like, this is wild. So if you guys get in your Christmas stocking from your old pal Woods, a couple. Who wants the Peter Pan tickets? Put your hands up right now. First come, first served.
1, 2, 3. Not it.
Nobody wants it. So that's what we won. My wife got caught up in the moment, feeling very generous at this incredible
Hampton Inn
display.
and Vista.
Yeah, it's
I think
really cool.
I think Ray in the chat must be a CPA because he says if you make it a bit, you could also write it off, tax write off at the end. Like, hey, I've spent $1,500, but it was for
all
work.
for
Really,
work.
it was all for a work bit.
Hannah did say she'll donate most, if not all of it, to the Christmas extravaganza.
Oh,
So
there you go.
that'd be phenomenal. The midweek stay though kills me. Hey, we'd like to book one for this weekend. Oh no. We got you on Tuesday, Wednesday night. Sorry, it's the best we can do. But holy cow!
Hey, the mountain looks the same on a Tuesday as it does on a Saturday.
We have Vegas rewards.
Yeah.
And I was looking at how to redeem some of them, and it's like, oh, here are the list of blackout dates, and I'm looking. I'm like, the whole calendar's blacked
all
out,
of them.
except for a Tuesday night here, a Wednesday there, and I'm like, well, this isn't gonna work.
That silent auction, man. It will get you so good. And you want to put your name down on a couple things so you don't look like a freeloader. The worst, though, I mean, it was crazy when they go out around at the end and everyone's got a paddle number. The auctioneer gets up and she's like, okay, we're going to start tonight at the $50,000 level. Who wants to raise their paddle for? I'm looking at her and I'm like, just put your paddle under your plate. And then
We don't want any sitcom moment where someone accidentally keeps raising their hand and
like,
not
you owe us
realizing you're bidding.
$400,000, sir. We got down to, I was like, I'm really more comfortable at the $25 level. We didn't get that low, so I didn't end up giving any. But I figured we already gave $1,500 to help a very worthy cause, and it was something, man. It was something, but it was really cool. I was very I was educated a lot about that terrible, terrible disease, and just I knew my father-in-law was a G, but I guess I didn't quite realize the inroads that he has helped that community with. Blew me away. Rolf Benershka, by the way,
fantastic.
One of the kindest guys I've ever met. Had the nicest things to say about you, Benjamin. And just couldn't have been nicer. I would like.
He's my hero. He's not only a former professional athlete, but also hosted Wheel of Fortune for a short time, which is really cool.
He did, and I had no idea the trials and tribulations that he went through
during his career.
His career, I mean, he was talking about it very vividly, and you're like, "Oh, my heart's broken, man."
He's a really good dude.
I would have Rolf on any time. So they do a big golf tournament. Let's get involved and help them with that because it was a really special deal. Shout out to my father-in-law. He's a total G. I had some idea. I didn't realize exactly. And I hope you guys enjoy your $1,500 at our expense and do a lot
Rooftop
with that.
Cinema's fun. You might want to find a good movie for that one.
I'm in there. It's great.
Yeah, that one's pretty fun.
There's some good stuff in there.
And it's at the Hyatt, so if you're staying there, perfect.
It's right there.
Go right upstairs.
All right.
Speaking of giveaways, not even a silent auction. We're just giving away Chris Stapleton tickets coming up later this morning. That's a pretty good one.
That's
I know,
a huge one.
Much in demand for his show on March 2nd at Petco Park that was just announced recently. Just be listening. We'll unless we want to come up with some Chris Stapleton sounder that we can deliver. But right now we're just going to plan on a cue to call later in the show. Keep listening for your chance to win Chris Stapleton tickets. We'll come back. Get into the World Series, games 1 and 2, all even up at 1 as they head back to Arizona for game 3 today. Anyone surprised at how it played out the first couple of days? I was, and I picked the Rangers. You guys picked the Diamondbacks. We're all a little shocked at what happened the first couple of days. That's coming up next with Ben Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Got some big news for the Tier 1s here. The biggest fan contest, you might remember it from years gone past, is returning. You can visit 973thefansd.com/biggestfan. Just register your name and then listen daily at 9:15 a.m., 11:30 a.m., and 5 p.m. during each of our talk shows. And if you hear your name called, call us back within 10 minutes. You'll qualify for our grand prize, which is very cool. 20 tickets to a 2024 Padres game in the Odyssey Suite to watch a Padres game with your friends next season. And all of the fans host. We've all committed to showing up for your night, your big night in the Odyssey Suite as well. So
now, I did this last year and I blacked out, so that is on the table, certainly.
But the only way to win is to register your name and then keep listening. And then when you hear it called, you call us.
That's right.
And, then you put it into the grand prize drawing. So someone's going to win that at the end of the contest.
So again, to register, they need to go to the website.
Yes, 973thefansd.com/biggestfan.
Get your name in there.
Yep.
Then you're going to hear us call the name. I don't say it twice, dude. So remember that. We don't say it twice. And you got a certain time to call in. Don't give us any grief about this. All right?
Right.
Just go sign up, listen for your name, and that is one hell of a prize. I mean, it's just, if you've never sat in a suite before, it's so legendary. It's just such a fun night.
Just get your own bathroom.
Get your own
which is really fun.
bathroom. It's
phenomenal.
Say the phone number twice.
I don't say it twice, dude. Yeah.
What was that for? iPads?
An iPad.
iPads.
This guy was trying to scam me, and I lost my mind. It was a bad day.
I think overall this is probably worth more than an iPad.
Oh, dude, yeah.
20 tickets, sweet,
Bro,
for sure.
it is
Yeah.
so legit.
Yeah,
That's
for
a
sure.
really good prize, Adam. Great job, pal.
All right, we're going to get into the World Series, all tied up at 1. Game 3 is tonight. We'll talk about it all after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Well, guys, looks like they've still got the right lanes blocked on northbound at 5 past Delmar Heights Road. Collision involving several vehicles. In fact, looks like there may be a chemical spill there. So that's the reason why they get that shut down, as well as Delmar Heights Road on-ramp to northbound 5. Left lanes are open, though, but traffic's still at a crawl. If there's any way to avoid that coastline, definitely a good idea. In fact, crash in the backup of that. This is near Carmel Valley Road, northbound 5. It's over to the right shoulder. Also going to find on westbound King Freeway near the Lemon Grove off-ramp, possible encampment fire over to the right shoulder. Some smoke visible in the area. They did clear a crash of the transition ramp eastbound King Freeway at the southbound 15, so looking better there. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben and Wood, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
So I was watching Game 1 of the World Series on Friday night in the big giant poker room where we were staying while we were playing our tournament. I said I was going to play in that tournament. By the way, Goose, thanks for asking. I donked out. I couldn't get away from top 2 pair, aces and jacks, against a wheel. That ace made the lowest straight, the ace 2, 3, 4, 5 for my opponent. That killed me in the tournament.
Brutal.
Game was on throughout the place, and there were a ton of Diamondbacks fans. Obviously, I was in Scottsdale, and they were just cheering every time something good happened, and they took the lead, and they had it in the 9th inning, up 5-3, and turning to their closer, Paul Sewald. It looked like they were going to take that 1-0 series lead, and then Corey Seager happens. And then Adolis Garcia happens in the 11th inning, and the air came out of that place for sure on Friday night. But what a game that was. Game 1 of the World Series goes down in my mind as one of the all-time classic World Series openers you're going to have.
Yeah, a couple of things to note of that game. Number one, Austin Hedges got in a World Series game. And what an interesting time for Bruce Bochy to say, hey, Hedgie, you've been sitting gathering rust through all of the other games and series that we've played. They've had a couple of blowouts. Would have been a nice time to get him in. It comes down to he's in the hole, Ben, in extra innings. And a lot of people were asking, Torey Lovullo, why would you pitch to Adolis Garcia? I think Mitch Garver was on deck, but then Austin Hedges is in the hole, and he did get his one at bat previously in the game. It's one of the worst at bats. It's one of the worst at bats I've ever seen in baseball history. I'm not just saying that to be a jerk. It was very uncompetitive. Swung at 3 straight sliders out of the zone. It was over. 3 pitches, and you do wonder. I mean, it would take a massive amount of stones to say, all right, I'm definitely not pitching to Garcia. I'm not going to let him walk me off. If Mitch Garver gets me, fine. I'm not going to walk both of them. I would have been careful pitching to Garver. If I ended up walking him, though, I'm okay. There's Austin Hedges right there. He can roll one over. How many outs were at that point? Nobody, right? Yeah, because he let off the inning.
I think
yeah,
so,
He
yeah.
let off the inning. Buddy, I think that's probably one that Torrey's going to, he definitely regrets it because giving that guy anything to hit as locked in as he is right now is probably not the right move. Putting the go-ahead run on is hard. It's hard for a manager to justify doing unless that guy is a Barry Bonds, a Juan Soto when he's going hot. You got to have guys that can protect him. But you can't let that guy beat you.
Honestly,
It's tough to be hotter than Natalie's.
It really
no,
is,
and people will talk about that and the decision to give him anything to hit. But honestly, that game reminded me of a few Padres games we saw this season because it wasn't necessarily lost in the 9th inning or the 11th inning. It was lost when the Diamondbacks couldn't add on against the Texas bullpen.
Yeah.
Because Nathan Eovaldi was charged with all 5 earned runs in 4 2/3 innings. Diamondbacks had that lead. They had 6 1/3 innings against that Texas bullpen that, was not great during the regular season, has stepped up, obviously, during the postseason and been much better. But they got just 2 hits in those 6+ innings against the Texas bullpen. They had that lead, and they were not able to step on the gas, put their foot on the throats of the Texas Rangers in Game 1. To me, that is really where the Diamondbacks lost that opportunity to take Game 1, just keeping Texas in it, giving them that hope and that chance for a couple of big swings to turn Game 1 in the end. And perhaps, if it's a close series, you look back and Game 1 will be the difference if Texas wins this one. There's a very good chance of it. So, yeah, that's a tough one for the Diamondbacks to take, which I think makes Game 2 even more impressive, the way they came back.
But, again, you can't talk about Game 1 and not mention Corey Seager and him coming up in that spot. When he hit that ball, the emotion that he showed, he's a pretty steely guy, pretty stoic guy. When he hit that ball, he screamed as soon as he hit it. You're not going to hit a ball much better than that. Screamed running down the line. But that home run, that walk-off home run, then if you're the D-backs, you're like, man, we had our closer on the mound. We had this Game 1. The fact that they were able to come back into Game 2, Ben, and do what they did. You said that and I agreed with you, by the way. I'm not throwing you under the bus. I fully agreed with you. There will be a blowout in this series, and it will come from the Texas Rangers, right? Well, there was a blowout, all right. I was at the gala watching on my phone, checking the score. I'm like, 6-1. Oh, 7-1. Oh, it's 9-1 now. Unbelievable bounce back from the Arizona Diamondbacks. Merrill Kelly continues to be incredible for that team, and Jonathan Montgomery really...
Jordan.
I've done that again. I played with a guy named Jonathan Montgomery. No. Jordan Montgomery really had his first kind of misstep in the playoffs. And
I don't know if it was a Jordan Montgomery misstep or if it was a Boch misstep. He was clearly, because they used him in relief in Game 7.
That's right.
So he was coming off. Now, he had rest, but he was definitely coming off a weird usage. And don't know that he was at full strength. But Boch, and, because of the extra inning game the night before, seemed like he felt compelled. He needed more innings out of Montgomery, pushed him. And, Montgomery actually, came through decently until they pushed him 1 inning too far. He had 6 innings, 2 runs, I think. Yep. And then he allowed double, single to open the 7th. And both of those runs came around to score. Ended up being charged with the 4 runs. And then, of course, the Diamondbacks did add on against the bullpen in Game 2 against the bottom end of that bullpen and scored 5 more and ended up, winning 9-1. But it was a game when Montgomery was in there until the 7th inning when it started becoming not so much of a game.
But a lot of people were talking about how, yes, he's gutting it out these innings, but there hasn't been one swing and miss. He didn't fool one person on any, nobody swung over a fastball. Nobody swung through a curveball. Nobody swung over a changeup. Not one swing and miss. Got 10 ground balls, I think, which is, hey, man, if that's your game, great. Then that's what you expect from them. But he was getting a lot more swing and miss. So I do agree with you, I think. But what do you do if you're Boch? This has been your recipe for success. I'm going to ride my starters a little more. I don't really want to get into this bullpen, even with an off day coming. Just one of those games. You get beat sometimes, and they beat you, and they whooped you. They took it to you if you're the Texas Rangers. But they did what they needed to do. Arizona did by stealing one in Texas. And, now they head back to Arizona tonight, and here we go. This is when it gets, the the game 1 and 2 starters, they duke it out, and you're not surprised when they split. And now you start to test the real depth of these rotations. And you're going to get Scherzer against Fott, who has been amazing.
I know. I was going to say, it looks like a mismatch, but I don't know that it's not a mismatch in favor of the
other way, I
Diamondbacks
know.
right now.
Brandon Fott seems unflappable right now just because we said it. He'll get torched. It's really been tough to handicap.
Diamondbacks got to be favored tonight at home, right?
It's dead even. It's pick 'em.
Wow.
It's a pick 'em tonight. So
I don't trust Max Scherzer.
I know.
I mean, he didn't pitch terribly in his 2 2/3 or whatever it was Game 7.
He's going to give up hits, man. They're going to get to him. But will they score? That remains to be seen. But holy cow,
I mean,
man.
that town is obviously very excited about this. I mean, every story, I turn on the local news, and it's just one World Series story after another, after another, after another. You know, that town's ready to really embrace. They may not have been the best fans during the regular season, but they will show up for the World Series. Place is completely sold out, and it'll be the best atmosphere they've probably had in years at Chase Field for these games. So you've got to imagine they're going to be hyped and psyched to be, in this game and at in front of their own crowd with a chance to take a 2-1 series lead.
And don't worry, we know what Tommy Pham did, and we will talk about it in Do This, because it's one of the cooler things I've ever seen. We did get a little more bulletin board material. Did you see this going around? Did you see what Mike Maddox did when Pham got picked off? Holy smokes, man. And
saw the John Boy lip reading.
You know who else saw it? Tommy Pham saw it. So if you missed it, Tommy Pham is dancing off second. Looks like he's going to break for third early in the game on Saturday. Still a close game.
It was still definitely in doubt when that happened. I remember seeing this play. I'm going, "What are you doing?
What
Tommy
are you
Pham?"
doing?" So he's dancing, kind of trying to throw him off his rhythm. All of a sudden, you see whoever was behind the dish, Garver maybe, point quickly to second. Montgomery turns, spins. They pick him off by 5 feet. I mean, he's dead to the world. So the cameras are following him. The camera pans to Rangers pitching coach Mike Maddox, and you watch him go. What did he say?
I think he said, "Attaboy, Tommy."
Oh, he goes, "Attaboy, Tommy, you dumb F," and you can read it as clear as day. So somebody tweets it. Tommy Pham hits the, I saw it, check mark on Twitter.
We're sure Jake Mintz wasn't operating the camera, and he's going to get blamed for this.
That one's not on Jake. That one was, we saw that 100% with our own eyes.
Attaboy Bryce, attaboy Harper.
Yeah.
I mean,
"Attaboy, Tommy, you dumb F." Woo, mama. So that's not a guy I want to, he's not a bear I want to poke.
Well, home run in the first game, 4 hits in the second game. I think Tommy gets the last laugh for the first 2 games of the World Series.
Incredible.
So, yeah.
Incredible series. So, yeah, I'm too. You hate a blowout. You do in a World Series game.
What was the quote that Lovello had about Tommy Pham? Was he's just a no-nonsense sort of player.
What's his bit? All business.
Yeah.
All business.
He doesn't even understand nonsense.
No, he doesn't. He does not suffer
He wouldn't
fools.
get our show. There's much too much nonsense during Ben and Woods for Tommy Pham's
Well,
liking.
you noticed all the
I'm a very good fighter. I don't do Muay Thai, Kung Fu, and box for no reason.
Yeah, he's the quote master. His quotes are they're next.
They're no nonsense quotes too.
He's terrifying to me. We never even looked at him to interview him. He passed us, I don't know, 1,000 times. I never once was like, "Hey, Tommy, you got a second?" Never once. Because I was always afraid of asking him a dumbass question that he would tell me, "That's a dumbass question, dude." And then I would dig a hole and die after I did it. So I would always see him and nod because he was impressive. Just another guy, man, that was good before he got here. Got here. Some things happened. I get that. Slowed him down. And then he's really found his stroke once he leaves. It's weird how that happens here all the time with everyone. Super weird. Super odd. What if guys play here and they look at what other guys do when they leave and go, "That could be me. That could be me someday."
Guys on another team heading into free agency is like, "All right, I signed a 2-year deal in San Diego. It's going to suck. But after that,
my numbers are going to go down.
I'm going to skyrocket.
But then
once
I'll
be
in the World
2
Series.
years.
I could be in the World Series after that. It's very odd how that happens.
Travis Jankowski, Austin Hedges, Tommy Pham. Who else is?
Hedges hasn't really improved.
Who else is on a World Series roster today that has Padres ties?
Out of these two teams?
Those 3.
I mean, the
Somebody
playoffs were rife with. I mean, I'm
everywhere.
watching Phil Maton in there
But that
spinning
could be
it.
a result of just the turnover, the churn of the Padres.
lot of churn.
Every team seems to have ex-Padres.
Whoa,
So
that's hot.
you're going to get there at some point.
Yep.
All right, we'll come back. Hour number 2. Take on Woods is just ahead. Our first chance this week. We got a last couple of days to qualify for our October monthly prize, getaway to Las Vegas. Anybody hear anything about the Padres managerial search over the weekend? Let us know. Because we didn't hear much either, but we'll update what we do know coming up next with Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan. Promise we're not holding back on you when it comes to Padres information. but things were very quiet over the weekend. Welcome back. It's Ben and Woods, Monday morning here on 97.3 The Fan, streaming on YouTube. We're on Twitch. Where else are we? Is that everywhere?
We're on the radio.
We're on the radio, too.
Yeah,
97.3
Odyssey app.
Odyssey app. Yeah, lots
Fantastic.
of places to get us. Thank you to all of our subscribers on our YouTube stream as well. We just got a new one, you said, over the break. That's
Thank you,
fantastic.
Michael. You're the best.
Appreciate that. We heard that the in-house candidates, I think, all interviewed last week.
They
Mike
did.
Schultz on Wednesday. Ruben Niebla got an interview.
Did that-
and
is that-
Ryan Flaherty.
is that a fact?
It was certainly strongly implied.
Yes.
I mean, I'm not, not monitoring the comings and goings at Petco Park. And plus, it would probably be pretty normal for Ruben Niebla to be there. So, but the strong implication was that he was going to at least get, if not a full look at it, like the opportunity to make his case, to sit down with AJ, interview for the job. It's a good thing to do if you're ever even thinking of being a manager. Go on an interview or two, before you even are a favorite for the job, so you have a chance to test out those interviewing skills.
If I'm Ruben, I go, either make me the manager or I'm leaving. I don't know that anybody has more cachet
Leverage.
right now and leverage than Ruben Niebla. He's the guy we cannot afford to lose. We just cannot.
Now he's under contract for another year.
Which has been proven means less than nothing. We are here. We talked about this, Ben. Who are we to stand in the way of guys going and getting their dream jobs here in San Diego? We're a launching pad. Where do you want to? You want to be in Boston? Come here for a year. Even though you have a year left, if you really want to be in Boston, we'll let you go. This is our bit. This is what we do here. A way station to a better life. San Diego. Specifically the San Diego Padres. So contracts, I had people tweeting me over the week.
It's good to hire people who are coveted other places.
Sure.
Means you're doing a good job picking your people, right?
I guess. Yes, one way to look at it. Yeah. I mean, I had a guy tweet me this weekend, well, Skip Schumacher couldn't come here because he's got a year left on his deal. And I had to laugh. I go, we just saw this. The new Giants manager had a year left on his deal. But that's a rumor that continues to circulate. I have not texted. I have not asked. I figure I will be told if he wants to tell me. I'm not going to wear him out about it. I don't know that it would work, but I don't know that it wouldn't work.
I thought it would be awkward if he does get the job. It would be awkward if we didn't break that news. At the same time, everyone would know where it's coming from.
Correct.
And he wouldn't want to be
Yeah.
the obvious leak. Oh, who leaked to Ben and Woods that Skip Schumacher's coming back to San Diego? Who could it possibly be that let them
My
know?
buddy, he lives in Canada. You don't know him. I've known him for a long time. He's pretty
totally
dialed
real,
in.
though.
He's real.
So I can sort of see where Skip might not
not saying a
necessarily
word.
talk to us about this situation.
I'm not asking
Yeah.
him a damn thing.
I think that's fair. I think that's fair.
Many would say it's your job to go out and dig it. You know what? Fine. Then you get his number and you ask him. I'm not asking him. Okay, so quit asking. I'm not going to. So quit asking.
I'm not going to. So quit asking.
Exactly. That's exactly right. I'm not doing it. So don't ask me at all. That's been rumored. Yeah, we talked about Flaherty. We talked about Schilt. Again, my gut tells me Schilt, but my gut's been wrong many, many times.
It's more than just a gut feeling on Schilt. There is smoke that is, I think, real, that's the leading candidate for the Padres.
Sure.
But I will caution and say A.J. Preller seems like someone who can have his mind changed. If he goes through a process, he's not someone who goes through it with a closed mind. That, hey, I've already made my decision. We're just doing this to check the boxes. I got to interview some people. I think he truly listens and is truly swayable if he sees something. And that can be a good and a bad quality. Sometimes it's good to stick to your guns.
Sure, yeah, you got to make strong moves.
There's a reason why we made Mike Schilt the favorite. And, one good interview maybe shouldn't change anybody's mind. Wow, this guy was just so impressive, though, in the interview. He was so prepared, had all the...
Bro, I think that's honestly, if memory serves, based on what I've heard, I believe that's what happened with Andy Green.
I agree. I think it was. He was not a leading candidate, but he knocked AJ's socks off with his preparation and everything that he said. And he goes, I think this is the guy, essentially.
And at that point in AJ Preller's tenure, I think you could take that risk, knowing, and AJ mentioned it in his Zoom call, he talking about how context does matter for all the managerial hires, and he's right. He's right. It doesn't matter though. I mean, you lose the benefit of the doubt when you've had so many that come in. You and I talked about this on the phone yesterday, Benny. After a while, it's like, okay, great. Yes, there are excuses, there are reasons, but at this point, man, here we go again with a whole new face, whole new message, etc. I do feel that there are probably some other guys he's going to talk to. I keep hearing the name Benji Gill. I would be all for that interview. That, to me, would be one that if Benji Gill came in and knocked AJ's socks off, he went, okay, yeah, all right, sorry, Schulte, like...
A lot of success managing in Mexico, obviously Castle Park High School, so a local. There are some connections there to be sure.
No question. And seemingly is a really, really good baseball mind as well. But, when he was talking about Andy Green, that was a different scene than this one's going to be. There's really not a lot of margin for error anymore with the manager hire. There's just not. The ramp-up time is not going to be a couple of seasons like it was with Andy Green. It's going to be, can you come in and help this team win immediately? Are you that guy?
We need a contestant for Take on Woods going to play here in about 3 minutes. So if you want to get in to start the week, 833-288-0973. Musical trivia against Woodsy with a chance to qualify for a trip to Las Vegas. But you need to call now, 833-288-0973. I think with Andy Green, if that really was the case, it might have been a case of AJ really trying to almost be overly clever. Like, I'm really going to impress everybody with this hire. Under the radar, no one realizes how good this guy is. We're going to hire him, and he's going to lead this team to surprising success, and everyone's going to say, wow, what a smart hire by AJ Preller. And maybe sometimes the obvious choice is the better choice. I like open-mindedness. It's better than being closed-minded. You're never going to get anywhere in life if you make up your mind and then ignore all the facts that come out, and everybody else's opinion's not going to ever change your mind. But at the same time, if you are so open-minded that you can be swayed like a breeze, oh, well, this guy had a good interview, but then this next guy had a great interview, you do need to stick to your guns on occasion. And maybe Mike Schilt is the stick-to-your-guns choice for the San Diego Padres this time around.
It's something we've talked about on this show a lot. Sometimes in baseball and really in life, you have to make moves that essentially you can explain, right? And you can cover your own rear end with. And that's something that I think that we haven't done a lot of. I think there's been a little bit too much thinking outside the box.
Yeah, I don't think AJ thinks that much about covering his own rear end.
Yeah, I think maybe he should more, right? Like, that's why I said on Friday, you weren't here, but I said at this point in your tenure, the pros of hiring a GM far outweigh the cons of hiring a GM, a buffer. It makes perfect sense to do it. Now is the best time to do it. Doesn't mean that he will or is even considering it, but now would be the greatest time.
I respect that about AJ, that he doesn't feel like he needs it and doesn't care, that he's just insulating to insulating. He's the guy. Fall. He's clearly the guy now, who's responsible for all of this. There's no one else you can pin it on, and he seems like he's okay with that.
Well, I mean, people are doing a really good job at pinning it all on Bob Melvin now that he's gone. A really, really admirable job of pinning it on Bob Melvin. We talked a lot about that, Ben, the couple days you were out. Yeah, that. So I wouldn't say 100.
But as you said last week, but AJ hired Bob Melvin.
Correct. It still falls under
you. So
Yeah.
even if it is ultimately on Bob and he was never willing to play ball and listen, it still was AJ's decision to hire Bob and went with that. And, we agreed with it at the time. I mean, we wholeheartedly 150% agreed with it at the time, but it ultimately does go back to AJ. That was his decision to hire Bob. And if it didn't work out, then he made a mistake when he hired Bob Melvin. Then that's how it played out. So it goes back to AJ, and it's on him again. Yep. And he doesn't seem to be the kind of guy who makes moves just to say, hey, this is very defensible what I just did here.
But of all of them, I do feel like Schilt is the one that is the most defensible. You can say, yeah, I mean, no-brainer, and you can explain it away, and we buy in. The fans, I think, would buy in for the most part on that deal. And you feel a little bit comfortable knowing that a guy has done it before and that has already been with the organization and, again, can work well with AJ Preller, as so they have said.
Woodsy, please step aside. It is time for today's game of Take on Woods. All right, we're going to line 3, and this is Billy, I am told. Billy, good morning. Welcome to Take on Woods. How are you?
Doing great, Ben. Thank you.
All right, good. You got a good line connection. I like that. I'm doing well. I just got back from vacation. That's the only problem. I'm back from vacation. All right, you've got a chance to go to Las Vegas here. End of the month, qualify for our 2-night stay at the Westgate. Tickets to Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons at the International Theater, live in concert. Ticket packages and VIP packages available at Ticketmaster.com. You get to pick our category here. Your choices to take on Woods are Dress to the Nines, 5 musical answers that include at least one number 9. Heartstoppers, those are 5 song titles that end with the word heart. And Solo Eagles, those are songs by former members of the Eagles during their solo career. So Dress to the Nines, Heartstoppers, or Solo Eagles. Billy, what are you going to play?
Let's go with Solo Eagles. Please.
Interesting, because for the second time this month, you have chosen an all 2-second song version of Take on Woods. Paulie has put together 5 different songs. He is going to play a snippet of each one. You need to give me the title and the artist, the former Eagle who was responsible for it, to score the point each time. See if you can get as many of those 5 as you can, and then Woods will come in and we'll compare scores at the end. So you understand how to play, Billy?
I do.
All right, so 60 seconds on the clock. You definitely get the advantage of knowing they're all Solo Eagles. Your time begins when Paul plays our first song. You can always pass if you don't know one. Good luck, Billy. Let's take on Woods.
That's Boys of Summer by Don Henley.
Correct.
That's You Belong to the City by Glenn Frey.
That is correct.
That's another Glenn Frey one. The Heat Is On.
That is correct.
That's Life's Been Good to Me by Joe Walsh.
That is correct. Very good. Last one.
That's Don Henley. All She Wants to Do Is Dance.
Oh, wow. Wow, Billy. That is a phenomenally played game of Take on Woods. You have qualified for Las Vegas.
Well done.
The only question left is whether you're going to get the outright win. That was fantastic. Stay on the line. Paulie will get all your information during the break. That was one of the best games we have seen played. Let's bring Woods in. Reset all of our 2-second songs, because I will tell Woods he doesn't get the category, but there is another all 2-second song version of Take on Woods today. Paulie's put them all together.
That's quite a load for a Monday, guys.
I know. Billy's score is locked in. 60 seconds back on the clock. Your time begins when Paul plays our first song. Good luck, Woods. Let's take on Billy.
That's Boys of Summer, Don Henley.
Correct. Song 2.
You Belong to the City, Glenn Frey.
That is correct. Song number 3.
The Heat Is On, also Glenn
Correct.
Frey.
Song number 4.
Life's Been Good to Me so far, Joe Walsh.
Correct. Song number 5.
All She Wants to Do Is Dance, Don Henley.
Wow, you two nailed it.
10 for
you
10.
were maybe even better than Billy, who was awesome. That was 10 for 10. Solo Eagles was the name of that category. All solo songs by former Eagles. And what a way to start the week. Well, congratulations, Billy. You've got a chance to go to Vegas. Woodsy, though, you defended your honor very well.
Yes, thank you.
And Paulie, you did a phenomenal job putting that all together. So I would say win-win-win to start the week for Take on Woods.
Man.
Now let's get to a couple of L's for Don't Do This coming up next.
Yeah, a couple L's and a big dub, in my opinion. A huge
We all
dub.
agreed on the Do This.
Yeah, all 3 of us.
I mean,
for 3.
So you gave up a big opportunity, history opportunity.
100%.
Which is very cool. So we'll get to that coming up next. Ben Woods after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan. All right, without any further ado, a perfect 5 for 5 take on Woods, co-champion today. Woodsy will start us out on Don't Do This.
One of the more disturbing stories you'll see, very sad story as well. Ex-NHL player Adam Johnson died, Ben, at 29 years old after his neck was slashed by a skate blade during a game. He died, was playing a game, 29 years old, playing in an elite ice hockey league game for the Nottingham Panthers in England when there was a collision and the skate, one of the other players kicked the skate up into the air. It struck him in the throat, was rushed off the ice, received treatment immediately, but he died later on. Now, you did see a couple of NHL players over the weekend wearing, there is a sort of collar you can wear around your throat to protect it, which I feel like that would be standard for me if I was going to play, because people do get tangled up, things go flying, guys get big hits, legs whip through the air, and it's a very sharp blade at the bottom of a skate. Just obviously a freak accident. Gruesome as can be. Just a really, really sad story. The Penguins, who he played for in the NHL, put out a statement.
I mean, it boggles the mind that, NHL players used to not wear helmets even.
Masks even. Goalies would just be in the goal. They showed pictures from like the 40s and 50s, and there's the goalie just there with his big stick and pads and nothing on his grill. It just like... But yeah, guys skating around, no helmets, it just is nuts. But
then again, baseball safety, it took a long time to evolve. Guys only have started wearing the ear flaps in recent years. I don't know why you wouldn't, but there's such a resistance to that safety change sometimes.
Does everyone flap it?
I think everyone has ear flap. I think it's mandatory now.
Is it mandatory?
Is it in Major League Baseball?
I'm trying to rack my brain.
At least the one ear flap on the side you're facing the pitcher.
Well, the ear flap, yes, but the face guard, does everyone wear the face guard too?
No, I don't think everyone wears the total face guard. You got to wear the one ear flap.
Yeah, you have to wear. I remember Dave Winfield used to wear just the Scully. Just the skull cap. Gary Carter, those guys jump to mind. It's like, bro, it's just one little flap covering your ear. Like, do it now. Who wants to wear one in the ear when you don't have to? But so very, very sad story. Rest in peace, Adam Johnson. That was a horrific story over the weekend.
Well, a couple of golfers from the Korn Ferry Tour are suffering some severe consequences for definitely a mistake. They violated PGA Tour rules by making a couple of wagers on golf competitions. Now, not their own. They simply used their own name and bet some on PGA Tour players. In fact, one guy, Vince India and Jake Staiano, I think bet $25 on a PGA Tour event and then bet some on the match on Brooks Koepka. Doesn't know any of those guys, was just doing it kind of for fun and, watching the games and trying to put some interest on it. They've been suspended 3 and 6 months for the gambling violation. What really hurts them, though, is that includes their Q school. So any chance they had to play this year is gone because you need to go through Q school to try to get on the PGA Tour, the Korn Ferry Tour for next year. So essentially, they're missing an entire year of competition for a very minimal amount of wagers on golf at the time.
But they knew the rules.
They did. They
broke them.
They did.
Even though it was $25.
Yeah.
But they can go bet on...
Well, Phil Mickelson bet, hundreds of thousands on football.
In the middle of...
Millions. Tens of millions.
I read the book that Alan Shipnuck wrote about him, and there were like huge tournaments he'd be in with an earbud in, listening to the end of the Lions-Cardinals game to make sure he covered. Like he was as bad as it gets. That's no problem there. What... Do you think that there are side bets in if you and I are pro golfers and we're playing the Buick Invitational and we're paired up together? Are we doing skins, me against you?
I think in the practice rounds, obviously, there's tons of that going on, and I think the PGA Tour either looks the other way or doesn't enforce it.
Because that's golfers betting on golf
against each other.
Yeah,
but I'd like to think that during the actual tournament, there's enough stakes on the line that you don't need some side action on
extra
yourself.
$5 closest to the pin
during your own round. Is the $10 million purse for the tournament not enough pressure for the the shots you're already hitting in that day.
It's never about the money, though. You know that. It's always about
the action.
The action and the bragging rights and all of that. Well, as we mentioned earlier, talked about the brilliant game that one Tommy Pham, former Padre legend, had on Saturday night. 4 for 4 in the game. And when he was lifted for a pinch hitter late in the game, people thought, what is Torey Lovullo doing? Why would you rob a guy of a chance to go 5 for 5, which has never been done in a World Series game ever? Tommy Pham had a chance to become the first. Our sweet, altruistic angel Tommy Pham had an explanation.
DD mega doo-doo.
That's exactly what he did, man. He wanted his teammate, Jace Peterson, to get an AB in the World Series. Game was out of hand, out of reach. Instead of chasing personal accolades, Tommy Pham went to his skipper, Torey Lovullo, and this is what happened.
This was, to me, a true team moment. Tommy Pham knew, I'm sure he knew, because he is extremely smart and pays attention to some things that you wouldn't expect a Major League Baseball player to pay attention to. I am guaranteeing you he was aware that he had a chance to get 5 hits. He came to me, and I know that he said it, so I'm going to openly say it. He came to me and he said, I need you to give my boy an AB. And I said, are you sure? You 100% sure? And I said, I gave him some contingencies. I said, if it's 7-1, that's the only score that I'll allow it to happen. 7-2, lefty, righty, I'm going to reconsider it, and I'll circle back with you. We all know what happened, but this was a moment where it was a teammate loving a teammate to give him an opportunity. He took what mattered most to him personally, number 1 on the list, and said, it's more about the team and my teammate at this moment. That spoke volumes about what that clubhouse feels every single day.
It's pretty freaking amazing, dude.
It's really cool.
Number 1, giving up a World Series at bat. Again, you're having a monster game, you're locked in. It's badass. I mean, there's just no other way to look at it. And who knows if Jace Peterson would have gotten an opportunity. And now he can say, yeah, I had an AB. What did he do in the AB? Does anybody know?
I don't think he got a hit.
Okay, but still.
Can I throw in a sub? Don't do this, though?
Sure.
Because there were other teammates who could have said, Tommy, you got a chance for 5 hits. I'll give Jace Peterson my at-bat in the 9th inning.
Well, clearly.
And you go ahead and go for the 5 for 5 in baseball history, dude.
Clearly, the rest of the guys are massively selfish, and
Yeah,
Tommy
apparently
is the
so.
only one that thinks about it.
Hey, Christian Walker, you couldn't have taken an at-bat off for Jace Peterson, so Tommy could have gone for the 5th
Probably
hit.
positional, too.
A little bit, but,
probably.
he's an outfielder. There's 2 other outfielders, a chance to get in there. Is he the only
Peterson
one?
grounded into a fielder's choice to second base. And they threw out Walker, who had just singled.
So he's on base. He got he's on via fielder's choice, and he got an AB.
Tommy commented on. I don't know what the Instagram post was.
I saw it,
but his comment just said, "I asked Torey, can Jace hit for me? I wanted my dog to get his first World Series at bat. Stop this narrative. Please."
Narrative. I loved it.
There's your answer for another former Padre in the World Series. Jace Peterson is another one for you there, Paulie. So
we are sprinkled all around the game of baseball.
Don't and do this for a Monday morning.
That was Don't Do This with Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan.
All right, we're still trying to figure out where the Padres stand in the managerial search. If you want to join us, 833-288-0973. Haven't really talked much about football. Who's in more trouble, the 49ers or the Chiefs, after yesterday's losses? I think you can make an argument for both sides on that one. We'll get into all of that coming up. Don't go anywhere. It's Ben and Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Wasn't a good Sunday for teams in red yesterday in the NFL. Welcome back, Ben and Woods, Monday morning, 7:38 here on 97.3 The Fan. You can tune in to Kickoff with Boomer Esiason and Mike Valenti every Friday night at 6 p.m. here on 97.3 The Fan as they preview all the weekend action, go through the biggest stories in the league. It is on the free Odyssey app, presented nationally by Casamigos Tequila. Casamigos, brought to you by those who drink it, and by Lowe's. Lowe's knows home improvement. Now, the Chiefs' loss was, I thought, the worst loss. Losing
By
to the Bengals
far.
is not.
And a healthy Joe Burrow is not. That's not the worst thing to ever happen to your team.
But at the same time, the Chiefs losing for the first time, they had won 16 in a row against the Broncos going into yesterday's game at Mile High. But I guess Patrick Mahomes was under the weather.
A flu game.
And it was cold, and it's the altitude, and that streak's not going to last forever. I can throw away a bad loss or two.
Sure.
Think about this. If you're the best team in the NFL, you're probably still going to go, 13-4?
Sure.
Top seed?
Yeah.
You're going to be favored in probably almost all your games. That means even the best team, the number one seed, the team with home field advantage throughout the playoffs, you're going to lose 4 times when you probably shouldn't. No one goes 17-0. No one's ever gone 17-0. One team has gone, two teams have gone 16-0. No team's ever gone 17-0. Not going to happen this year. We know that for sure. You're going to lose every once in a while. You just have to accept that, and I feel like we can't overreact every time it happens.
I wonder if they're overreact. I mean, I think if you're in San Francisco or you're a Niners fan, I think you're overreacting a little bit. Well, no. I think you're reacting normally after the start you got off to, and then the last 3 games.
Well, it's clearly not been the same team. The last 3 games, 3 losses, the losses to the Browns, the Vikings, and now the Bengals. Nothing wrong necessarily with losing to the Bengals, but it was at home. Yes, you still don't have Deebo Samuel back, Trent Williams. You're not at full strength, but Brock Purdy all of a sudden went from Mr. Can't Lose to Mr. Can't Win.
The frost is off the pumpkin, my friend. It's like it is now. It's now in his dome.
He had the longest honeymoon in NFL history.
Honestly,
as a
like he is so unsure. I watched most of that game yesterday. As you know, my son Bo is a huge Joe Burrow fan. He's a Bengals fan. He'll be in Joe Burrow costume tomorrow for Halloween.
Suck it, Niners.
Yeah, he was very happy with yesterday's outcome. But yeah, man, 3 straight for a team of that caliber, like. And the losses that they've had, that one was probably the best loss to the best team. But the ones before that, man, there's no excuse. Brock Purdy, who couldn't throw an interception to save his life, now that's all he's doing right now. So it's a little dicey.
I think, and Purdy was coming off a possible concussion. He was in the protocol this last week. They weren't even sure he was going to play. Maybe he shouldn't have. Maybe in hindsight, the 49ers go, God, if we knew we were going to look that bad and we were going to lose anyway, should have just sat him and played Sam Darnold instead. However, I think what's more concerning is the defense hasn't played as well the last few games. Now, there's no reason that they should be taking as much of a step back as the offense of Purdy struggling a little bit. Defense has kind of faltered a little bit. It's really opened things up. I mean, the NFL looks as wide open right now as we have seen it in a long time. You look at the AFC. I mean, the Jacksonville Jaguars, who started out 1-2, look pretty poor, now have the best record along with the Chiefs and the Dolphins and the Ravens, who have the best DVOA. Like, metrically, the Ravens have been the best team.
What does that stand for? DVOA? It's a metric?
It's a
It
metric.
like war?
It's like a team sort of
Team
overall war sort of thing for football. Yeah. You got me on that one, Woods.
That's why I wasn't trying to.
I know the acronym. I don't know what it stands for.
Defense-adjusted value over average.
Defense-adjusted value
Obviously.
over
Clearly.
average. Yeah, it's like a team war stat for football.
And
they're like number one, like by a long shot.
The Jags?
The Ravens.
Oh, the Ravens.
The Ravens have been the best team metrically in football. I don't think anyone really thinks the Ravens are the best team in football, though. The Eagles, they did win yesterday, but they got tested by the Commanders. That's a divisional game on the road. You kind of expect that to a certain extent. But right now, I mean, I was pretty confident in 49ers Chiefs Super Bowl a couple weeks ago. Feeling a little less confident right now that it could go a lot of different directions. There are a lot of teams now at the midway point of the season or close to the midway point of the season that feel like they are legitimate threats to make a deep run into the playoffs.
Worst game of the day, by far, the Jets-Giants game. Holy smokes.
Worst game, but
punt bowl.
One of the more intriguing endings.
Yeah.
Did you see? I was actually listening on my drive to the end of this one. I have no idea why, but
you
it
love
was
sports
on.
so much. Imagine driving back from Arizona after doing nothing
The
but
Giants, who lost
playing
Daniel
golf.
Jones and then lost Tyrod Taylor, and I forget who's the name of the third quarterback they put in there.
The Italian Stallion. That guy's amazing.
Had
Tommy DeVito.
Tommy DeVito. They had as a team they had -8 passing yards.
Yeah,
it's like
phenomenal.
the lowest they've had in the history of the NFL in a game. But they had like a 97.9% chance to win. Had the ball up 3, 13-10, 4th and 1 at like the 25 or something. You know, they decided to kick the field goal instead of going for the first down and closing it out. They were debating that, like, what's the right thing to do? I think you have to keep the ball in your hand. Try to get the first down. First down ends the game. Even a made field goal doesn't end the game. Now, it makes Zach Wilson have to go down and score a touchdown to beat you, but it doesn't end the game. 1 yard does. But missing the field goal gives them field position and a chance to go down and tie it with a field goal. They did that, a couple quick plays, score the field goal, send the game to overtime, and then they win it in overtime. 13-10, and just an ugly battle of the two New York teams.
Had a scoregami yesterday in the NFL as well. Dallas Cowboys over the Los Angeles Rams 43-20.
Not the craziest sounding one. Like,
No,
I'm surprised 43-20 had never happened.
Yeah, for sure. 43-20 scoregami. There were some games you kind of thought that went the way that they were supposed to. But yeah, there were a few more upsets yesterday, Ben. A lot of extenuating circumstances, as you mentioned. I think the Chiefs probably murdered a lot of people bet-wise, survivor pick-wise. That was not one that many had winning, the Broncos winning. Patrick Mahomes with the flu or not, it doesn't matter. You got to find a way to beat the Broncos.
I held my
They got
nose
smoked.
on Survivor, and I picked the Los Angeles Chargers last night.
Look at you. You escape again.
It's like the first time I've ever actually even partially cheered for them in the last 7 years.
You had to.
But I didn't want to lose. And I had first put the Detroit Lions in, my Survivor pick for tonight's game
They're
against
up
the
tonight.
Raiders.
Yep.
And then I heard they haven't played on Monday Night Football since like 2017, and they were coming off that awful game. And I thought, God, what if that was a sign? That was more than just an aberration.
Yeah.
I thought, I don't think the Chargers could lose this one to the Bears at home. So I just took them and just held my nose. And they did win easily last night.
I've bet on the Dodgers
I know.
to make money.
I know.
You know what
It's
I mean?
just-
Like
it's just the right. It was just the right choice to make last night for a Survivor pick.
Do I feel disgusted
Yes.
when I do it?
Yes.
Yeah, I feel disgusting. Is it going to stop me from doing it? No, it's not.
I think the roughest story yesterday, Kirk Cousins going down with the Achilles. Looks like he's out for the season. They'll confirm it with all the imaging and stuff today. But just as the Vikings were starting to play better, they beat the Packers, third straight win, 24-10. Now they're without Kirk Cousins. Just makes the job that much tougher in Minnesota. Lions looking vulnerable, the Vikings surging, and Lions are probably going, okay, that's a sigh of relief there that they're going to have to deal without their quarterback now, just as they're getting hot. So.
Paulie, you survived Survivor pick as well?
I picked Baltimore.
That was closer than it should have been. 17 points in the fourth quarter for the Cardinals.
Yeah, and
Made
they
it a
recovered
little
an
dicey.
onside kick. They had to do it again.
onside.
They had to do it
Yeah.
again, and they couldn't do it the next
Adam
time.
picked the Eagles.
Okay.
Ooh, that was a
a
dicey
close
one
game
as
as
well.
well.
They got away with one as well. But yeah, I hope you guys are enjoying yourselves.
And then I think Tyreek Hill remains one of the best stories in football. Had another 112 receiving yards and a touchdown. He's gone over 1,000 in 8 games, so he's definitely on pace to break Megatron's all-time record and maybe become the first ever receiver with over 2,000 yards. Now, 9 games is a long time, and injuries certainly do happen, but that's impressive to leave. Make the decision to leave as a free agent, Patrick Mahomes, who you know is going to be able to get you the ball. Take a chance on a new team, on Tua, and go down and do what he's done in the first 8 games and help revitalize that offense, which they beat the Patriots 31-17. They're now 6-2, tied with those other teams for the best record in the AFC. Very impressive start for Tyreek Hill with his new team, the Dolphins.
I mean, you can't talk about the NFL yesterday without talking about Will Levis, man. What an unbelievable debut to come out for the Tennessee Titans in Houston, Oilers uniforms, which I thought was a little odd. A lot of people did.
They looked fantastic.
They are such, you forget how cool those were back in the day.
They had the whole logo on the field and everything. They went all in.
They did.
But I don't think that they should be allowed to wear Houston Oilers throwbacks uniforms.
It's a little odd, but it looked good.
I know they moved from Houston, but they took on a new identity when they became the Titans. They're essentially a new team. If any team should get to wear Houston Oilers throwbacks,
it's the Texans.
I think it should be the Texans.
Even though they were never the Oilers.
I know that, but to me it feels like that belongs to the city, not the franchise.
Correct. I do agree. I do agree with you 100%. But Will Levis was, 4 touchdowns. They won 28-23. 4 touchdowns in your debut is pretty incredible. It just played. He looked like he knew what he was doing against a Falcons team that's not bad at all. They came into that game with a winning record. Poor Adam, Falcons fan, in the torture chamber, getting beat by a rookie like that in his debut. He was really impressive. They were showing highlights of some of the throws he made. Number one, he had time to throw, which is a big thing in the NFL. You really want your guy to have time in the pocket, and he picked those guys apart, man, and was the difference in the game.
And there will not be any winless teams either. The Carolina Panthers and Bryce Young got their first victory.
Schneid.
Last-second field goal to beat the Houston Texans, 15-13 yesterday.
Yep.
So, decent NFL football Sunday, but so many sports going on, very busy.
Kind of a clunker of a college football Saturday, I thought.
All right, let's talk about let's check traffic,
check
and we can get into the college football Saturday as well after this check from Kelly here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is sponsored by SDG&E. Well, guys, we keep getting conflicting information whether they've opened the right lanes northbound 5 past Delmar Heights Road. We are still showing emergency crews on scene. So, yeah, it looks like Delmar Heights on-ramp may still be blocked as well, all due to this multi-vehicle accident. Problem here is that a semi was involved in this, and it's a chemical spill. So that's probably taking so long to clear all that. Northbound 5 past Delmar Heights, give yourself extra time. Left lanes are open, though, HOV, and 2 or 3 left lanes. Southbound 15 near Via Rancho Parkway got a collision that is blocking the right lane. And traveling on the eastbound 905 just before Britannia, there's a collision involving a couple vehicles. They're over the right shoulder. In peak wildfire season, as a last resort, SDG&E may need to shut off power in specific areas for public safety. Learn more about public safety power shutoffs at sdge.com/PSPS. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben & Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Just got a text from a former colleague, and I think he's right. He says, didn't Tennessee keep the name Oilers for the first 1 or 2 seasons?
I think that's
after
right. Yeah.
I think it was before they moved into their new building. Weren't they even in Memphis for 2 years, and then they moved to Nashville, and then they became the Titans? So they were the Tennessee Oilers for a hot minute before changing to the Titans. I think he's absolutely right.
I agree. Did you get a chance? You were pretty busy Saturday. Did you watch much college football?
I watched a little bit at the end. Another unimpressive win for the USC Trojans.
Loved it.
Needed to dodge a 2-point conversion by lowly Cal.
49 points you let Cal score.
Yeah, 50-49. Their defense is just so atrocious. They are, they're still right there. They have 2 losses. They could still win the Pac-12, but with games against Washington, at Oregon, and UCLA to finish, the Trojans will have to play much better to avoid an 0-3 finish to the season. They could finish with 5 losses this year. UCLA's legit. They beat Colorado, and they've got a really good defense. They don't have much of an offense, but they got a really good defense, and you don't really need much of an offense to score against USC this year. And then Washington and Oregon are both really good. Now, Washington kept Stanford in it a little bit too much, 42-33. At the same time, the first playoff rankings will come out tomorrow.
Yes.
And I would expect Washington will be they're number 5 in the country, but I expect they'll be in the top 4 because of their win over Oregon, which is arguably one of the best wins of the year. Ohio State over Penn State or Washington over Oregon, those are your 2 best wins.
Who's going to be your top 4 then? It'll be Georgia's not moving off at number 1.
I don't know that they'll be number 1 in the playoff rankings.
Really?
Yeah, I feel like it might be Ohio State, number 1, Florida State, Georgia, Washington, and I think Michigan's out.
You can't put Michigan in.
I don't think they've beaten anybody
They have
yet.
not played a soul.
Throw out the scandal and everything that's swirling around the program.
Throw
They've
that out
beaten
completely.
no one.
They have beaten no one. They have a MAC.
No, they'll have
a MAC schedule.
Now, they'll have the opportunity to knock out Washington by beating Ohio State and Penn State later in the year. But as of this moment,
nobody.
I got Washington in my top 4 in my first playoff rankings tomorrow.
I honestly think Florida State may be the best football team.
They might be
in
number
the
one
country.
tomorrow.
I mean, they may be the best. Georgia, they handle business though. They handle business on Saturday, 43-20. Ohio State handled business and a very Big Ten-esque game, 24-10. Florida State rolled Wake Forest. Washington over Stanford. The game of the day though. I mean, Kansas is a good team. They're a good team. 5-2 going into that game. They're an okay team. Oklahoma undefeated to take them down. 12 points in the fourth quarter, Ben. Unbelievable upset. If you're a Sooner fan, you're just sick. You're sick to your stomach. I've been a fan of teams that lose games like that. You want to die.
It's going to be tough for Oklahoma to get back in. Obviously, they'll have to sweep Texas and win a Big 12 championship game. They can't obviously stub their toe again. Yeah. But there's no guarantee, even if they do, that they can get back in after that loss to Kansas. So that was a significant result on Saturday of college football. 38-33 Jayhawks stunning the Sooners.
That was brutal.
Yeah,
brutal. I didn't bet any football, so I feel pretty good. I lost enough on baseball that I didn't need to, but I would have gotten killed on several of these games.
I did see USD one. And all the allegations. Did you talk about that at all?
Yeah. We talked about.
We need to get back.
We talked about the genitals against the window. We did. We did.
It's not. It's bad. I feel. Their coach Brandon Morris basically said, "I walked into this. I didn't know any of this. I mean." Is it fair to hold a brand new coach responsible for something that had been going on?
But that stuff happened this season.
It did.
Quarterback that transferred.
But it was like already going on before he got there.
It's
to stop something that's already happening when you get there.
It's the AJ Hinch thing all over again with the Astros, and we just watched that documentary. You watched it too, didn't you, Paul? Yep. It's so good. The
really good.
Bleeding Edge or whatever. It's on PBS. It's unbelievable. But AJ Hinch knew about it and was so mad about it. One day he went in and smashed up the monitors with a bat and was like,
The Morse says he didn't know about it. As soon as that player went missing, he went and reported and they started the investigation.
Right. So I think aren't you always responsible for what's going on under your nose? He may get some leeway there, but I don't know, man. Like the story that I read in the UT was so gnarly, and they're like, it's way worse. If you can imagine, it's way worse than what we can actually print. So, you hope everybody involved either moves on or gets the needed discipline that I think is very warranted.
Tough local story, though.
Very, very
to
tough.
be sure. All right, we are halfway through already. Quick 2 hours in the books. We'll come back. We got Jake Mintz from Cespedes Family Barbecue joining us in our 8 o'clock hour. More World Series talk, more Padres talk on the way next with Ben Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Apparently, Woods has already started his staycation week. I don't know if he's checking into the Embassy Suites at the moment.
He
or
said something about Margaritaville.
Getting to Palomar Mountain.
Studio.
It's midweek, I think, so he could check in at the lodge up there on Palomar Mountain. Welcome back. It is hour number 3 of Ben and Woods here on 97.3 The Fan. Woodsy nowhere to be seen. He already told us about the giant silent auction staycation package that Hannah bought. So, oh no, he is still here. He didn't. We thought you went to Palomar Mountain to check in for your midweek stay already.
Making plans to go see Peter Pan.
He got his Peter Pan the musical, his rooftop cinema, his repertory theater tickets to use. Got to go to the aquarium.
If you missed it, we did it early in the show, but we went to a gala, and my wife did the. You feel the pressure to sign up for the silent auction, and she
Do you think someone is just silently judging? I don't see the Woods' name anywhere on these lists.
Potentially. I mean, we didn't pay for our plate at the dinner. We were invited, by my father-in-law and stuff, and I don't know. I got she signed up for the silent auction, and it's a very weird package that we won. It's a one-night stay at the Manchester Grand Hyatt. A one-night stay at Margaritaville Hotel. Again, one night is like you check in at 4 and you check out at noon. We've got a midweek stay, Ben, at another hotel as well. We've got a one-night stay at Saquon. The drive out there might be longer.
You and Joe Musgrove.
Me and Joe Musgrove
can hang out there.
Yep, we got tickets to go see Peter Pan and go to the San Diego Botanic Gardens.
As you know, I was in a Peter Pan musical in middle school. I was Captain Hook, remember?
I do remember.
Forgot that.
Your mom never did find any evidence of this. Do you remember any of your lines? Did you have to do a pirate accent?
Maybe a little bit. I mean, you were Captain Hook. I definitely had a hook. Like it was one of those things where you held on to it and
inside.
Cover on the inside. Your hand was still there.
Yeah, it's what I would do for some footage of you in Peter Pan.
There's no amount of money I wouldn't spend for
I had a big curly black wig for sure. Like a velvety, burgundy like coat.
Yep. Which is just your coat that you had. Like you just grabbed it out of your closet, a velvet burgundy coat.
I'm well versed in Peter Pan musicals over here.
Well, are you well versed, Ben, in Mischief Night? Because that is what we are celebrating here today, the day before Halloween. And we talked about this a year ago today.
It's more of a Texas thing.
No, it's nationwide. Mischief Night is nationwide. But in Connecticut, where I grew up, do you remember what we called it? You'd never heard this before.
No, what was it?
Cabbage Night.
Cabbage Night.
Cabbage Night. Now it was
we called it Mischief Night.
It was a shock to me when I moved there, and they said, "Hey, let's go out for Cabbage Night." I said, "That sounds terrible. I don't like cabbage.
I'll do drugs.
I'll eat coleslaw, but I really don't like cabbage." And they're, no, dummy. It's where we go out and smash pumpkins and throw eggs at things, and it's all the Mischief Night. But I never understood the backstory of Cabbage Night, but it's what they call it.
Also known as criminal vandalism.
Criminal vandalism night. You have never participated in a Mischief Night.
No. I'd be too nervous. I wouldn't want to get caught, disciplined for said transgressions.
Egg cars,
terrible
TP houses.
Tom in the chat says, I smashed many a pumpkin on Mischief Night. Yeah, it sucks. People put a lot of work into carving pumpkins.
Right.
You go smash them.
I mean, it feels like if you're going to do it, at least do it on November 1st after
the day
Halloween.
after. The day after would be better.
Those intricately carved pumpkins that are there for all the trick-or-treaters to greet them, and you just smashed them the night before?
Yeah,
you're a horrible human being.
Somebody's got to go out and pick those up. Clean up the smashed pumpkins.
Smashing pumpkins smelling, they rot and they smell bad.
Well, they do that anyway, but smashing pumpkins is fun. It feels liberating to smash a pumpkin.
It's a whole band named after
Smashing Pumpkins. Yeah, very good band indeed. But yeah, so tonight is Mischief Night. So watch your, get your Ring camera going. You don't want anybody messing with your stuff in your. I hope nobody gets our house. I don't think they will. They didn't last year. I hope nobody comes and gets, does any
I guess
damage.
My fear is not necessarily, getting in trouble, but like homeowners who overreact to protecting their property.
They could shoot you now.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. That's exactly what I'm thinking of. Well, kid, I didn't know if it was an egg or a hand grenade, so I
shot him.
I just blew him away with my shotgun.
My rights.
Yeah, well within my rights. Yeah, so it's different. We've lost, there's some innocence lost in this country when kids can't go vandalize the neighborhood without fear of getting shot.
It's just the innocent, good, clean fun. Vandalizing the neighborhood is no longer approved.
Yeah, Matt says he's never heard of Mischief Night growing up in San Diego, but learned of it quickly once I moved to Texas. Yeah, we were. Why are you dressing up like an army man the night before Halloween? No reason.
Testing out my costume.
Yeah, no reason. Just, wanted to give it the old dry run, see how it goes, Mom and Dad. I'll be back in a couple of hours.
Painting your face with the camouflage.
Firecrackers and black cats in people's mailboxes. And not real black cats, the firecrackers.
There's a firecracker called a black cat.
Yeah, it's like the one you light it pops, but you light up 400 of them and throw them in someone's mailbox. It's a really good and loud time. So that
probably destroys the mailbox.
No,
pretty good.
It's a metal mailbox. It's just really loud.
Huh.
You do it for the sound, and it just scares the crap out of everyone in your neighborhood. But tomorrow night's the real deal. Tomorrow night is Halloween. We'll be dressed up tomorrow on the show. I hate my costume. It was not picked, but it was picked for me. I had no say in it. But you'll see it.
I have even less say. I don't even know what it is.
Yeah. You're going to show up tomorrow. Show up 5 minutes early
into the whatever we are.
Yep. Paulie's got his. I like Paulie's a lot. My wife picked mine for me, so do with that what you will.
Yours is fine.
Well, I
haven't seen it.
No, just wait till you see it.
It's a good idea.
It's a good idea.
I'm not like Dean Spanos or anything, right?
No,
okay.
Is it a sexy blank?
It's not sexy.
No.
I won't look sexy in it.
Ben's going to look sexy.
Ben is going to look really good.
I mean, I can't help it.
That's true.
So
Yeah, that's true.
It's not my fault.
It's going to be great. It's going to be great. So tomorrow's Halloween. We can do all of our Halloween content tomorrow on actual Halloween because I do enjoy the holiday now way more than I used to. Now that I have kids, I'm really looking forward to it. We have got Taylor all dialed in. He's going to be David Bowie. Ziggy Stardust is David Bowie. Until yesterday at lunch, he said, "No, I want to be a bad guy." And we said, "What do you mean a bad guy?" And he wants to be one of the bad guys from Home Alone, right? Joe Pesci or Daniel Stern. He wants to be one of them now. And I go, "But we already got like a whole Ziggy Stardust thing, and you're going, no, I'm not David Bowie. I'm a bad guy." So I don't know what we're going to do.
Well, just put some of the Ziggy Stardust sparkle on one of his teeth, and that can be a little gleam from
tooth.
Joe Pesci's gold tooth.
Yeah, maybe
instead.
I'll sear off his hair at the top and put a little skull cap on him. But now he wants to be that with 24 hours remaining. Which is pretty standard for my kids. But so that's going to go down tomorrow night, and Bo's going to be Joe Burrow. I wanted to get him a cigar, Joe Burrow with the cigar. Hannah wouldn't let me, so I got the kibosh.
Not even like a candy, not even like a candy cigar.
She doesn't want to imitate smoking. So that's out. That's out the window.
Candy cigarettes.
I bought him candy cigarettes once. You ever smoked one of those?
A candy cigarette? Yeah. Well, a bubblegum cigarette? Absolutely. Those were totally acceptable when we were growing up. There was a weird, don't know what they were doing, but I was driving through Yuma, stopped for gas yesterday.
Did you get a burrito at that place?
I did.
Oh, yeah.
Brought some home. Mr. G's Drive-In.
Delicious.
Very good. There was a couple of people dressed as Winnie the Pooh and Tigger, and Winnie the Pooh was smoking a cigarette. We're just on the corner of the street. I don't know if they were raising money or just panhandling in costume. I'm not sure. I didn't really stop, but she was kind of slumped on a shopping cart smoking when wearing a Winnie the Pooh costume. He was kind of holding a sign and dancing a little bit, wearing a Tigger costume. It was a very strange scene.
Could have been a Halloween party the night before.
Could have been. I'm not sure.
They were keeping the party rolling?
It was windy and dusty, and it was just kind of a haggard scene on a corner in Yuma, Arizona yesterday.
Fantastic.
Like 12:30 in the afternoon on my way back, or 11:30 in the morning or something.
That is a rough one. That's a really, really rough one.
Yeah.
Well, good for you. Good for you. Tomorrow's Halloween. We will celebrate accordingly here on the Ben and Woods program.
Too busy for Mischief tonight. It is a sports equinox with every single major professional sport in action tonight. Game 3 of the World Series, Monday Night Football. Got a full slate of NBA games, including the Lakers at home against Orlando. You got NHL games. You got MLS Cup playoffs. And if you're a college basketball fan, San Diego State Aztecs have their first Well, it's an exhibition game, but their first game at Viejas Arena in front of fans since their Final Four run. They're going to take on Cal State San Marcos tonight at 7 o'clock as well. So you have just about every sport you can imagine going on somewhere tonight in the world. You just got to choose. I mean, obviously, World Series takes priority for me, but, Monday Night Football, I'm sure will do well in the ratings. And you got all kinds of other things going on as well today. So you get as busy of a sports day as you're going to find. The only time is late October that you really can get everything together because the NBA season just started and you got to be on the weekend to have an NFL game or at least a Monday, and this will be the day where you get everything.
Yeah, I don't feel conflicted even in the slightest when there's Game 3 of the World Series on. Brandon Pfaadt against Max Scherzer back in Arizona. Rangers will have first licks, Ben, and if Pfaadt can get through, there's such a deep lineup that the Rangers have. It will be really interesting to see what they do with Adolis Garcia. He's homered, I think, in 5 straight games. Is that right? Which is insane. He is so locked in right now. And
he didn't homer in the last game.
Oh, no, he didn't.
Yeah. The streak ended, though.
The streak ended.
Yes.
But he had homered.
He has 8 postseason home runs, which is nuts. But they did contain him yesterday. Merrill Kelly did contain him on Saturday in Game 2.
Can you imagine having a superstar play that well in these games? I mean, it blows our minds here after the season that we just saw from the San Diego Padres, certainly. But you do wonder, man, you put yourself in those shoes and go, who's going to be that guy for us, right? You dream that it will be like a Fernando Tatis Jr. We've seen Juan Soto have runs like that in the playoffs, that not when he was here, when he was with another team, as locked in as anybody's ever been. But, yeah, you look at our squad and you go, Tatis is the hope. He's the hope that can have a monster postseason like that one day, 5, 6, 7, 8 home runs throughout the course of the playoffs. If anybody can do it, it's him. But, man, it just is so fun to watch a guy hitting beach balls right now. That's what he's doing.
Yeah, with this matchup, you wonder, will Cinderella, will the clock strike midnight on Brandon Pfaadt at some point against this deep lineup? He has certainly pitched better than we've seen in the limited Max Scherzer appearances this postseason. So do you trust that, or do you go with the historical, hey, it's still Max Scherzer. He's got a lot more experience in games like this than Brandon Pfaadt. Is Pfaadt just the ticking time bomb? At some point, someone's going to get to him, or
hasn't really looked dicey.
Not really,
though, hasn't. It's not like he's getting through with smoke or mirrors or anything like that. When he's pitched, Ben, he's been pounding the zone. He's been really, really good. So the line tonight, is pretty much dead even. Scherzer and the Rangers -115, and Pfaadt and the Diamondbacks -105. It's about as close as you can get to a pick'em game. But yeah, we'll see how it shakes out. I have not been able to pick any of basically the last week's games right. I think I've been wrong on every single one of them.
All right, don't go anywhere. We've got Chris Stapleton tickets we're giving away in the second half of the program. Jake Mintz is just around the corner from Cespedes Family Barbecue. More World Series talk with Jake, and obviously we'll keep you updated on any Padres news. It was pretty quiet over the weekend, but we will tell you what we do know and don't know at this point when we come back with Ben and Woods after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan. I'm invoking the rule of one topic that you missed while you were on vacation.
Well, we didn't talk Lakers, so...
That's not the topic I missed.
Good.
So I left right after the show on Wednesday.
You did.
Within 2 hours, I believe A.J. Preller was on a Zoom talking about the departure of Bob Melvin.
He was.
And what went wrong. So I didn't get to react necessarily to A.J.'s second Zoom news conference of the postseason. And the one thing that, and I'm sure you discussed it, but the one thing that caught my attention was the part where A.J. talked about the COVID year, 2020. Arguably, the short season was the most successful stint of Padres baseball ever. They went 37-23, really played excellently for those 60 games. And AJ said that was probably the year that personally I was the most active and involved in the big league team. And it was because of COVID. There really wasn't anything else to do. Everybody was locked in. It was a very unique time. I feel like our group played well. And the biggest thing was because there was communication constantly between players and staff and myself, training staff and research and development. And then he kind of went on and felt like he wasn't communicating enough with Bob Melvin, wasn't part of the team enough. Is the takeaway from this last season that A.J. Preller feels like he needs to be more involved in his team on a day-to-day basis?
If you heard that and extrapolated that theory from what he said, you would be absolutely correct in your extrapolation.
Okay.
I too extrapolated that. I love that word. I heard that and I went, I gave it like the side eye, like the, oh, more. Now,
because everyone, I think, was hoping to hear AJ say, yeah, I get too involved in the day-to-days. I really need to step back, bigger picture, let people handle their stuff. But that felt like the opposite of what at least I think a lot of people were listening for last week.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
It does when you hear, oh, no, I wasn't involved enough. I think Bob Melvin would disagree with that. Now, again, there's two people in the world that really know how that relationship went, and it's Bob Melvin and A.J. Preller. We can guess, we can read, we can extrapolate our own ideas, Ben, about what actually happened. Could there have been a scenario last year, maybe even the year before, AJ tried to be more involved and Bob Melvin threw up a wall and wouldn't let him? Sure. Yeah, that's absolutely possible. Absolutely 100% possible that was the case. Then, if I'm going to extend that a little bit further, that means, by that logic, that the new guy that comes in, whoever it is, you're going to have to play by AJ's rules. That's what that says. Bob was here. He didn't let me communicate as much as I wanted to. I feel that was a problem. It was successful years ago. I'm going to do it again. So, therefore, the new manager will need to be able to play by my rules. That's what that says to me. Is that the right way to do it? Let's be honest with ourselves, our audience. You, audience, be honest with yourselves. 2020 would have turned out to be a nightmare for this team in particular. We were running out of pitching. We're lucky to have made the playoffs. Craig Stammen was an opener in the playoffs. Let's be honest with ourselves. 2020 is not something you should hang your hat on if you're a general manager. And actually, I'm a little bit embarrassed that he did. That's such a weird season that needs to be thrown out the window. And I'm sorry. You're right. When you're looking at a guy's whole career, you have to look at all years involved, certainly. But I don't look at that, Ben, as some rousing success. I just don't. With 102 more games to play, I think we could see the direction of the San Diego Padres in where they were going.
Preller said, I just think in terms of like the day-to-day of being around, the communication, being present in terms of getting a lot of people on the same page. I'm not saying that was non-existent here in the last few years. That's not the case. But just making sure everybody is on the same page and there's some big picture vision and that there's constant communication. That's not a bad thing.
Nope,
that's not. I mean, if you get buy-in from everybody pulling on the same rope and, when things get off course a little bit, making those corrections and keeping everybody on that path that you're trying to, work down over the course of a season, That's actually a good thing that you'd like to accomplish, but you can't force it like a square peg into a round hole.
Correct.
And maybe we saw a little bit of that the last couple of years.
Yeah, and please, again, I reiterated this point a lot when you were out, Ben. It's not for me so much the fact that it's Bob Melvin that's gone. There's some of that, right? Like, all right, well, that's a bummer. Bob Melvin is no longer our manager, and I'll miss Bob, certainly. But again, it's not like we talk to Bob every week. He came on the show, and we're going to miss a valuable source of information and, a great relationship. We met Bob Melvin 3 or 4 times in his 2 years here, right? Like, said hello, that's about it. So it's more of here we go again. That for me has really what it's been about. More tumultuous, chaotic behavior, more turnstiles, people going through the turnstiles on their way out, more butt of national jokes. That's really what it boils down to for me, is not so much the man, but the actions again of now here we go, egg on our face again. And I think, I'm
AJ, just sick of being the laughingstock of baseball.
That's exactly
I'm sick
right.
of turning on MLB Network
and them laughing.
What are the Padres doing?
Yeah, what are the Padres doing is like hey, we need some material today to fill a 15-minute segment. What are the Padres doing? Done. It's easy. It's a done deal. You take the good with the bad.
We had a moment last year where we were in the spotlight.
Sure.
Everything was great.
How'd that
and then
go?
All offseason it was is this sustainable?
Right.
How is this going to work?
Right.
And then we're like, we'll show you.
Yeah, we'll show
everyone in the country.
Right.
And
everyone can suck it. Nope.
We didn't.
No,
I think ultimately what AJ Preller is looking for may not exist entirely. Because Jace Tingler was, they were tight. They were friends, and, at the beginning they were very lockstep. But when your manager doesn't push back on the GM sometimes, I think the players need to see the manager kind of pushing back occasionally. It gives him some credibility in the clubhouse, knowing that, hey, whether or not I agree or disagree with the direction we're going, I know that this manager has some credibility, has some clout, if anything ever came up and I disagreed with the GM, the manager would go to bat for me. And if all you're thinking in the clubhouse is, hey, if I don't want to do what the general manager thinks is best here, the manager's not going to have my back. He's going to have the GM's back. You have to kind of have a manager that's willing, I think, to stand up to the front office at times. Now, you don't want ones that are constantly battling as well, but there's a fine line between an independent manager and one who's always sharing the same vision. And I think the healthiest of relationships is the one where you kind of share the big picture, but you do push back on behalf of your players from time to time. And the GM has to be able to hear no and accept that occasionally.
From the manager.
Yeah.
Also from the owner as well. And everybody, there's a hierarchy, and everybody has to answer to someone. And it does feel sometimes that, AJ is able to kind of do what he wants with the checkbook. And I'm sure he doesn't get everything he asks for. But, I mean, when you hear he was offering Aaron Judge the kind of money he was, when you hear he was offering Trey Turner the kind of money he was, it did feel a little bit wheels off last year, certainly. So you do wonder. We don't know about Peter's health. That's obviously forefront. That's the paramount. That's the most important thing is, can he get back and start to feel better? That's what we want. That's what the San Diego Padres fan base wants. But until that happens, this managerial search was probably going to be on AJ Preller. He's going to hire another one. We're all going to have to be okay with it eventually. And I think we will be. Don't really have a choice. But yeah, the waters need to settle a little bit here in San Diego. They do. They need to settle a little bit. And the fact that him and Schilt, the rumor is they get along quite well, have worked really close together the last few years. I asked the question Friday, Ben. It's an interesting position that the new manager is in when the criteria number one is, can you get along with our general manager? That's like the first thing that needs to, not, hey, are you a brilliant baseball mind? Are you a great motivator? Are you a great manager of personalities? No. Can you coexist with this man that is the president of baseball ops? That's number one. They can say it's not, but
every person interfering for the job is going to say,
oh, yeah, I can do it.
Yeah, I can do it.
Watch me work. Watch me work. Yeah, watch me cook. Let me cook. Give me the job and let me cook.
Primetime NFL games are available free from Westwood One and live here on 97.3 The Fan and on the Odyssey app. Tonight, listen to the Raiders and Lions, and then Thursday, it's the Titans and Steelers right here on 97.3 The Fan at 4:30, or just download the Odyssey app and search for 97.3 The Fan at kickoff. All right, he makes his long-awaited return to the Ben and Woods program. Jake Mintz has had a...
Let's not wear him out.
We're not going to wear him out. We've talked about it, but he had an interesting October to be sure, and it'll be good to see his smiling face on our YouTube stream again coming up next from Cespedes Family Barbecue. World Series talk with Jake ahead on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. I don't know if it's breaking news, but it looks as though Jake Mintz might be throwing his hat into the ring for Padres manager.
Why not?
Next year.
At this point.
Yeah, I mean, it's a wide open race at the moment. We'll talk to Jake from Cespedes Family Barbecue right after this check of traffic on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Guys, looks like just the right lane is blocked now on northbound 5 past Delmar Heights Road. Still trying to clear that crash involving several vehicles, including a semi. And why should North 5 have all the fun? Now southbound side of the 5 coast lane, just before Lucadia, there is a collision involving a couple cars. They are over to the right shoulder. Also going to find on the southbound at 15 before Rancho Bernardo Road, stalled car in the center divide. Accident eastbound 78 Nordall Road off-ramp. Traveling on southbound 163, an accident occurring at the East 8 connector ramp. And westbound side of the Keene Freeway, just before the 805, two-car collision over the right shoulder. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben and Wood, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
And there he is, Jake Mintz from Cespedes Family Barbecue joining us. It's been a few weeks. How have you been? Everything good?
Yeah, dude. It's been a sec since I've been on your airwaves. And everything with me is it's been chill.
Good.
Yeah, good. Relaxed.
Staying out
nice
of the
October.
limelight.
That's good.
Covering the playoffs like a regular reporter.
Under the radar.
No big deal.
No, it's we had, listen, we didn't have fun at your expense. We did definitely have your back with everything that was going on. Glad to see you again. Jordan filled in admirably in your absence, but it is good to see your face again. Obviously, tumultuous times in San Diego as usual, but I don't even want to talk about that. You know who I really want to talk about is the man that was deemed at one point the worst starting pitcher in baseball, and that is one Merrill Kelly, who has been pretty incredible, nothing short of incredible in the postseason, Jake.
Sometimes you gotta suck at your job, move to Korea for 4 years, and come back to really figure life out. And I think that's the moral of the story here for Merrill Kelly, is it not?
It is. Incredible. I mean, he was at Tampa Bay. He was highly, it was in the Tampa Bay system. And that's usually like, if you're a good pitcher, a fast track to the big leagues. And had to go to Korea to figure out. I guess it didn't hit me. That man's 35 years old. I look at him, I still see like a 28-year-old.
Right.
He has seen some things. He was so spectacular in game 2 against Texas. He has such phenomenal command of all of his pitches. And when you ask dudes around the league, oh, why is this guy good? He's throwing 93. Well, just turn your brain back to 1998, everybody. Like, if you have 6 different pitch types and you could put them all where you want, you're going to get a lot of outs. Doesn't have to be that sexy. You don't have to throw that hard if you can do other things really well. And he showed that the other night. Like, it's not complicated. If you're hitting, you're not sure what's coming. The changeup is a plus pitch, and for it to work at the big league level.
It's a Grand Ole Monday, brought to you by Grand Ole Barbecue with Jake Mintz from Cespedes Family Barbecue. So, Jake, what was your pick before the World Series started, and has it changed at all based on the first 2 games?
Before, like at the beginning?
Yeah, before game 1.
At the beginning of this series?
Yeah.
I took Diamondbacks in 5.
I did too.
I think the Snakes are alive. I think they are a perfect level of not that good with nothing to lose, and they think they're the greatest baseball team ever, and they have just enough talent to capitalize on their irrational self-confidence. And I think that will carry them. I think they will win the next 3 games. I think that will be that. How are people in San Diego dealing with a division rival being in the World Series? I'm curious.
It's an interesting point. Paulie and I talked a little bit about it on Friday. So if you're of the opinion, and we're split down, I wouldn't even say down the middle, but I'd say AJ Preller definitely has his fans here in San Diego. Certainly, they are gleeful in crapping all over Bob Melvin now that he's gone. And then there's the other faction of fans that says, hey, man, you've had 9 years. At some point, you're going to have to figure this thing out. You're hiring your 4th. Some call it 5th manager. So it's kind of split. The people that see the Diamondbacks winning, doing all this winning, go, well, that just turns the heat up on A.J. Preller. And I kind of countered that with, There's always going to be heat on A.J. Preller. There's heat on any general manager with a high payroll, a huge roster of superstars that you have. I really don't know. It doesn't bother me as much as it would seeing the Dodgers win a World Series, but it bothers me. I can't say that it doesn't.
No one in San Diego hates the Diamondbacks or their fans.
Not
No
really.
one
Not
wakes
really.
up. That's what was so funny to me about when the Diamondbacks played the Phillies in Philly. And I was coming off, I don't know if you know this, but the Braves played the Phillies first.
Yeah.
Yes, we did hear that.
And-
Did you cover that?
Yeah, I saw
series?
that.
Okay,
I
you
saw
did
that
cover
series.
that one.
But like they would announce Ronald Acuna and everyone in Philly would boo him mercilessly.
Yep.
And then when the Diamondbacks came into town, the booing was almost like obligatory because they didn't know who any of these people were. So the PA guy's like, batting seventh, Alec Thomas. And then all the Philly fans are like, boo.
Boo.
And that's kind of how people feel about the Diamondbacks in general is like, yeah, I can't hate the Arizona Diamondbacks. Like, what do you want me to do?
They're not very
And so it's
hateable.
they're not hateable. And for you folks, it's almost like, well, they can do it. Why not us?
That's exactly
But
right.
for me as a Padres fan, always feeling like you're at the bottom of the barrel, overthought last team people think of. And recently, in recent years, it hasn't been like that. Now I look around the division and there's less teams you can feel superior than.
That's exactly
You
right.
can't really feel superior than the Dodgers, obviously. The Giants have 3 World Series rings in the
And
last
our
15
manager
years.
now. And our manager.
And now the Diamondbacks have been to a World
dude,
Series last year. Now it's just the Rockies that you can
We'll
really feel
always have the-
superior
We'll always
to.
have the Rockies.
But you'll always have the Rockies. There was an incredible moment when the Diamondbacks won the NLCS. In the locker room, Evan Longoria is doing an interview, and they're asking, the question like, "Oh, no one believes in you. Like, look, well, how about now?" And Evan Longoria goes, "Yeah, man. Like, they had us 4th in the division. They had us behind the Dodgers, behind the Padres, behind the Giants." And then he thinks for like a half second, and he like thinks about the Rockies, and he just like leaves it there.
Yeah.
He doesn't say anything.
Doesn't say it.
But it was just this implication that, yeah, like no one believes in us, but like they didn't have us 5th behind that disaster of a team. Like we were 4th at the very least.
They're one of the few teams, talking to our pal Jake Mintz from Cespedes Family Barbecue, they're one of the few teams in any playoffs in the last few years that could actually say and mean no one expected us to be here. You hear it. I have heard Dodger fans be like, man, we are so gritty and everyone counted us out. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
You're joking.
The Chiefs said that in the
Chiefs-
Super Bowl
yeah.
run last year again.
The Chiefs said
no one believed
The
in us.
Astros said
yeah,
that.
Astros. Nobody believed in us, and it's like, no, these dudes are legit. The other part is there's a lot of people in San Diego. They're like, if Bruce Bochy wins another World Series ring, all it is just littered with ex-Padres doing great, and so that it's tough. It's tough being a Padres fan. It really, really is. You're really getting it from all angles these days.
Congratulations, guys.
Thank you.
I'm very, very happy for you. That's outstanding.
It is.
Yeah, dude, the Diamondbacks, like every press conference where someone goes up there and says, no one believed in us, I sit in the room, I'm like, yes, that is exactly correct. Nobody believed in you. We don't know why you're here either, but congratulations.
You made it.
Except you all picked the Diamondback. Well,
Yeah.
Paulie and I picked the Ranger. I picked the
Paulie
Rangers
picked the
in
Diamondbacks
5.
in 6.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
I
Okay.
picked the Diamondbacks at the beginning of the postseason. I picked the Diamondbacks to beat the Brewers and the Dodgers. And then I predicted them to get swept by the Braves. So here I am.
I stupidly went with the team that I thought had more talent and was deeper and everything, which
That's the
just makes
thing,
no
dude.
sense in
That's the
October, of
thing.
course.
This is why I hate predicting playoff baseball, right? Because there are just so many things we cannot know. And if you, at the beginning of the postseason, if you didn't pick the Braves, you're an idiot.
Yeah.
Even if you were wrong, like, did you watch that team all season? They are the best team in baseball. And just because the 84 when Diamondbacks are going to win the World Series doesn't negate that. The postseason, I've said this a million times, it's not about the truth. It's not about the truth. If we wanted the truth, we would do it like the Premier League, and the Braves would have their title and there'd be no October baseball. We're Americans. We like to be entertained. We don't like the truth. Okay? And so we have this fun little tournament that we put on to crown a champion instead. It is important to uncouple those two things in our minds. And it is part of why when, the Diamondbacks have had their backs up against the wall, they don't care because they're like, well, if we lose tonight, like no one's going to be mad. No one's going to be disappointed. It's not like we fell short of expectations. So they're the epitome of house money right now.
Jake, what's your 10,000-foot view of the Padres managerial search, considering you are listed there as 2024 Padres skipper Jake Mintz on our YouTube feed?
So I'm available. That's the first thing I should say. I'm currently coaching a 10U travel ball team in New York, so I have experience. I will do anything AJ Preller tells me to do for the salary. I mean, that's more money than I'll ever make. It's like $1 million probably? I'll take that. AJ, you tell me, dude, like I'll put in a Bill Chrismat at third base if you want. Like I have no backbone here. I'm just trying to cash a check, to be honest with you. And like for the players, I'm a good clubhouse guy. I'll let him run the show. I'll let Manny run the clubhouse.
Oh, yeah.
He could be like when LeBron was on those Cavs teams where he's basically the manager. Like we'll let LeBron. Machado can run the show. That's fine with me.
You're a figurehead.
AJ, give me a call.
Yeah, you'll be a figurehead.
What number are you going to wear? I always think it's weird that
69,
it's the only
obviously.
sport in which managers they wear numbers.
Bat
like
boy.
Steve Kerr
Bat
doesn't
boy.
wear a
I'm
number.
gonna have the two B's on the back. Mintz with the 2 B's on the back.
So on board. I think listen, it's going to be interesting to see how it all shakes out. A lot of talk nationally about this manager and what they can do, and I don't know, man.
I think it's just going to be Ryan Flaherty, man.
Do you think it's going to be
I don't know
Flash?
if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I don't know him well enough to have a real opinion on it. But I think when the dust settles, it'll be Ryan Flaherty.
See,
that's my uninformed prediction.
My gut still tells me Mike Schilt is a much easier one
Can
to
I say
stomach.
something about Mike Schilt?
Sure, yeah.
Mike Schilt
we need to
got
know.
a little bit of he got a bad rap in St. Louis, I think, for being a bit of a hardo. But I think he's actually more personable than people think based upon that experience.
I've heard
when
that
you're the
he
manager of the
has
St.
learned.
Louis Cardinals, you have to be a certain thing. I think Schilt is actually a pretty decent pick here.
I've heard that too. Ollie Marmol is a huge hardo, huge, like massive. It's something about when you get into that chair in that organization, it's like comes with the territory of this is what I have to be now, and I got to call my own players out in the first week of the season for not hustling when in fact they were actually hustling.
Every fan over a certain age wants their manager to be a complete hardo.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
It's just it's a generational thing, and if you're been a baseball fan for more than 30 years, you want your manager to be Dick Williams and just as tough and crusty as they come,
flipping tables.
Mike
I hear it all the
Schilt
time.
Mike Schilt really is as crusty as it gets nowadays in
but
baseball.
has he softened? I think that's what Jake said.
Yeah. Like Mike Schilt is so, I'm putting this in quotes, experienced and like old, like not old is the wrong word, but like crusty is really the way to put it. He's so crusty, like you can't complain about lineup decisions to him.
Yeah.
It's like, well, he's a manager, so whereas with Jace Tingler is like, who is this dude? Like he's wrong. Mike Schilt, like you gotta let that fly.
Yeah, he commands a little bit more than Jace, but you do wonder, because I have heard the same thing, man. I talked to somebody in the organization, said one thing people don't really realize about Schilty is they've seen the videos coming out of St. Louis, they saw his press conferences, a little bit crusty with the media, but they said, he's the first guy to walk up to you and go, hey, how's your family? This year was tough. Are you doing good? So has he softened? Do we want that? Do we want a manager that's softened, or can we spin it in he's learned from his mistakes in the past and he's the right man moving forward? I think we'll know soon enough.
Hang.
Yeah, sneaky good hang. That's exactly. Don't judge a book by its cover. Sneaky good hang.
I have a feeling we're going to find out in February when we're in Peoria and sitting down and talking with him a few times while we're out there.
Yeah, we'll see.
I don't know. We feel like he's definitely the front runner in the race at this point. There's no question there. That was just Jake.
Is he gone?
Yeah, I'm Nick.
No,
I'm
he's there.
I'm Nick Castellanos. So
yeah,
you got to ask.
What's the question there? What's the question? Now, this is more of a conversation, Jake. I don't have to actually ask you a question for you to chime in. You can just jump in whenever you want. You're part of the conversation.
That. Sorry, I'm just a jag-off. I'm new to this.
Attaboy, Mintz.
Attaboy, Mintz. Attaboy, Mintz. Dude, we appreciate you very much. Enjoy the rest of the World Series. I mean, this is always the bummer part of the season. At most, you got 5 more games to go. So we appreciate
When I was in middle school, and then I'll go. When I was in middle school, I got dumped. Okay? I got dumped by Shira Rakuzin. She dumped me at lunch. And a good buddy said to me, Don't cry because it's over. Smile because it happened.
Yeah, smile because it
and
happened.
that's how I feel about the postseason.
I work with a Rakusen at work. I wonder if they're related.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Adam Rakusen.
Oh, let's check it out. Let's do some deep dive.
She broke my heart
Huh?
in 2008.
I will check. Saying the ages could be about right.
You guys have been, you and Jordan have been alternating every week, Jake. So I don't know that we'll talk to you in
That's
2
right.
weeks
Yeah,
with the
it'll
World
probably
Series
be Jordan
ending. So
next week to wrap things up.
See you at spring training?
Maybe we'll come on together next week.
I was thinking about that. Yeah,
I
that would be
love
fun.
that idea to wrap everything up in a big bow. And yeah, hopefully we will see you at spring training next year as well.
It's been a pleasure.
Thanks, you, buddy.
Jake.
Appreciate you. See you soon.
Jake Mintz on a Grand Old Monday, brought to you by Grand Old Barbecue from Cespedes Family Barbecue. Love those guys. That was one of the best additions we made this season.
Yeah, they were
And,
fantastic.
Yeah, we'll talk to them next Monday to wrap up. It'll be over by, let's see, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So by next Saturday, even if it goes 7, the World Series will be over by this time next week. Baseball season will be over for everybody.
Yeah.
And it'll be time to start really looking ahead to 2024. Which is why I don't expect any breaking Padres managerial news this week.
Can't sneak it in on an off day, Ben?
You could on Thursday, possibly, if it was really, if it was unavoidable that it was coming out, leaked out and it was going to get there, you could handle everything on a Thursday. But my guess is that this goes into next week before the Padres officially name and introduce a manager. But that's just my hunch. I don't have any inside knowledge. If AJ really wants to interview 3 or 4 or 5 outside candidates, imagine he'll be still doing that, for the next couple of days this week. And then you got a couple guys who come in for that second interview. You got to work out the contract, cross the T's, dot the I's. So my guess is next week is the target date for naming a new manager for the Padres.
I'd appreciate it because I'm slammed this week. Taylor's birthday, Halloween, my parents coming in, Dia de los Deftones on Saturday. It's a full slate in the Woods household this week, man. I would appreciate it for once if you guys could.
Well, if you're anything like me, it'll happen right before you go on vacation later this month because you're going to be off.
I'm gone a couple days, but mid-November.
Right.
So yeah. It'll happen that Monday.
Exactly.
When I'm out.
And then you'll be gone. Yep, and we'll be here to talk about it without you.
No, my timing's much better than yours.
It is.
Yeah.
It tends to work out much better.
It'll be that Friday, so we'll be good. We'll be fine. No, I appreciate those guys, man. It's been fun getting to know them, getting their takes, their perspective. The Merrill Kelly story. He's just a guy in my mind. Like, he was just a guy, and then I read this piece about him. Torey Lovullo called him into his office, Ben, and he said to him, statistically, you are the worst starting pitcher in Major League Baseball. What are you going to do about it? I'll read you some clips from this piece. It's fantastic. Fantastic. And for him to go out and have the postseason he's had, Zach Gallen's their ace, but not right now he's not. Merrill Kelly is that guy.
All right, 1 hour to go. I'm in the mood for a Reindl Report. We'll get some headlines from Paulie. We still have those Chris Stapleton tickets. We'll give those away as well, probably in our 920 segment. So stay tuned for more Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan. We'll be right back. Sometimes we get too caught up in the right play, the statistical correct decisions, the sabermetrics of the sport. You know me, Woods. I do believe in that. If you're not consulting the numbers and running whatever team you're running, whether it's baseball, football, basketball, then you're falling behind everybody else because the numbers tell an important story about your team. However, the reason we watch sports are for the guys who defy the numbers.
Yes.
And I think Merrill Kelly is the perfect example of that. There was nothing in the numbers that would tell you that Merrill Kelly was going to be a star, a playoff star for the Arizona Diamondbacks. The numbers don't tell that story. They tell another story. But there he is. I think he's allowed 3 hits in all of his starts. Every single time he's gone out, and he has kept the Diamondbacks in the game. He's won big games for them. And as you were saying with Jake Mintz the other day, he was statistically the worst pitcher in baseball.
Yeah, so 2019 is the year he signs with Arizona after pitching 4 years in Korea, spent 1,000 days over there trying to figure it out. He was so far buried in Tampa Bay's system when he came up, Ben. He was drafted by them originally. He wanted out, so that's why he went to Korea and pitched well, won a KBO championship over there. Then he comes back, gets his chance to pitch in the bigs at 30 years old. He's a rookie. He's carrying an ERA nearing 5 into the middle of August. Torey Lovullo had seen enough.
A little bit of a Nick Martinez-like story as well. Yeah.
But Lovullo calls him in, sits him down, and he said, look, this is what I'm thinking. Either you get better or I'm going to push you out the door. I'm putting you on notice. So he says, you're statistically the worst starting pitcher in the National League. I've stuck with you for a long time. I want this to be your position in the rotation, but you have to show me that you can take it. I'm sorry, but that's the truth, and that's how I operate. So he says he responded by making some technical adjustments in his delivery, he poured himself into his craft even more, he's just trying to prove himself. So then he ended the season, Ben, 4-1 with a 2.18 and 5 September starts, went from being the worst pitcher in the league. He said at that point, everything changed. He accepted it, Torey said. He's referenced it himself. I don't necessarily talk about it unless he brings it up. I would imagine you have to go back to your manager at some point and go, hey, do you remember that time that you called me in and said I was the worst pitcher in baseball? I mean, the fact that a manager
them apples.
And Torey wasn't, I don't know when he started managing the Diamondbacks. It feels like that probably was around his first year too. A rookie manager calling a guy in his rotation and saying, you're done. Figure it out or you're done. Ballsy, right? Very brazen to do. Called him to the carpet, and the guy responded. Some guys wouldn't. Some guys would say, you know what, you're right.
Now that's the thing, because as a manager, that's not the way to go every single time.
No.
You say that to some guys, and now all of a sudden they've got a confidence problem to go with whatever other issues they've been dealing with.
You are the worst broadcaster in San Diego.
Whatever.
Okay? Figure it out.
Now
he's gone from that, Ben, to probably the most undervalued starting pitcher in baseball.
But I think what is also tough from a player's standpoint is you've worked your whole life and you got to the big leagues. It's got to be terrifying to make a big change at that point. I mean, you know, I look at my golf swing and I know it could be better, but I'm too scared to change it because I'm decent.
You don't want to shoot in the hundreds for a while.
And I don't want to take a huge step back just to climb my way back to where I was, because there are stories of guys who do that. And I'm sure it'd be tough for Merrill Kelly. I know I can make this change and I'm going to struggle for a while, and that may be it. I may never get that chance again. So you've got to really take a leap of faith if you're making major adjustments once you're at that stage in your career. And he did, and it obviously has paid huge dividends for Merrill Kelly. But that's not easy to do for any athlete, especially a professional athlete at that stage in their career. When you know, I make this change and it doesn't work, I'm done. I'm not getting another chance. I'm done.
He basically called him in and said, all right, man, it's time to S or get off the pot. That's it. You're going to lose your spot. It's on you. It's on you to get
but
here.
Maybe that freed him up to make the changes.
No doubt.
At that point.
No doubt. I think you're always
I got nothing to lose
fighting something, you know, but again, the way he finished the season, and then they talked about his record since, it's been spectacular. And you saw it. You saw it on full display in the World Series and in the postseason game. Remember, he had cruised through Philly, and they ended up pulling him out. Lovello, they won that game, I think 5-1. It was really never in doubt. But Yeah, it spoke a lot to me about what the kind of human being Merrill Kelly is. And I just thought stories like that you're right, man. It's great to go out and watch a number one starter who makes $25 million, $30 million a year go out and dominate. But it's really special to see a guy that was almost out of baseball, and got called to the carpet by his manager, go out and have the postseason he's had.
You don't really think I'm the worst broadcaster in San Diego?
Not even close.
Okay,
not by a long
Who
stretch.
Is?
All right, we'll do that next. Coming up next. Yeah, coming up next. The
Specifically,
worst broadcasters in San Diego.
Completely unrelated. Here's Paul Reindl with the Reindl Report.
I'd catch some votes for that. I would. I know one guy for sure. I would definitely catch his vote.
And get things started here with our today's edition of the Reindl Report.
Now tuned into the greatest.
Welcome to the Reindl Report with Paul Reindl.
Hi, Paul.
All right.
2 stories from the world of sports that we haven't gotten to yet.
We'll start off in Major League Baseball.
And 1 story that you didn't know you needed.
Are you laughing, biatch?
It's the Reindl Report
Hey, Paul, how you doing? Okay, how are you?
on 97.3 The Fan.
Are you ready to bless the mood? I need some help, please.
That was good. Can I get a oh yeah? Oh yeah.
All right.
All right. Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
How we doing?
Fantastic.
All right. I just 2 stories for you today because I think we're going to spend a decent amount of time on each of them.
Yeah.
First one. Did you guys hear or see Flava Flav doing the national anthem yesterday at a Milwaukee Bucks game?
All right. So anytime my Instagram private messages go ham and I keep seeing the same one over and over, I make a mental note. Don't listen to it now. Put Paulie on the case. Listen to it live on the radio. So I saw it. Paulie mentioned it, and I go, dude, I'm glad you brought it up. I had 15 people send it to me. I haven't heard it yet. Paulie's going to play it for us. Is it that bad?
Why? No. So does he have some sort of connection to Milwaukee?
I don't know. I really don't know.
Because the Bucks, they got Giannis, they got Dame. They don't need a sideshow to attract people with the national anthem.
When you have a chance to get Flavor Flav,
I guess so.
To
Look
do the
at
national
him. He's
anthem,
wearing a Bucks jersey and a big old thing around his neck.
Is it a clock? That's a clock.
Yeah, it's a little clock.
Yeah, that's his bit.
That's his thing.
You not know him?
I know him. Flavor of Love. He had his
he was in
reality show.
Public Enemy is the
Flava Flav.
Yeah. I mean, he's had some ups and downs.
I didn't listen to much Public Enemy.
I'm not surprised at all.
All right. I'll save. We'll get to the ending. This was a long rendition of the national anthem. It was almost 3 minutes.
Wow.
I want to start from the very beginning.
148 is usually like the over-under for like a Super Bowl anthem. 3 is... You've added 33% to that song.
Must
You've
be
added
really
50%
good.
to that
I want to
song.
start from the beginning. I'm curious just how far you guys can get into this.
The singing of the Star-Spangled Banner performed tonight by 6-time Grammy Award-nominated rapper and artist Flava Flav.
Getting ready.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light?
Question.
Wow, you were holding those notes.
He's
So
holding
if
those
you're not
notes a
if
lot.
you're not a traditional singer, which he's not, he's a rapper, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're not a traditional singer, wouldn't you want to go fast? Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early? Like, get it over
He's a
with.
rapper. Can you rap it?
I don't think you can rap it. I think that would be.
Say, can you see
Oh God!
by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed twilight's last gleaming?
My brain just.
Never mind.
That is.
I don't know.
Just like shorted out.
I agree. It would be tough to hold the notes. I mean, he's singing it like
singing
Whitney
it like- yeah,
Houston,
Whitney Houston.
Adele,
Right.
someone like
Yes,
that.
yes.
What so proudly we hail
Nice warble.
at the twilight's last gleaming.
Starting to see how this lasted 3 minutes.
Broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight.
short for over.
We're so
It's a very tough song, and he tried. Let's see how he brings it home.
Yeah, let's fast forward another minute and 17
5
seconds.
minutes later.
Oh, the land of the free
Not bad.
and the home of the brave.
Not bad. Not bad.
Of the
Oh, wait.
brave.
Okay.
Of the brave.
All right, that's not bad. I actually kind of enjoyed this.
I loved it.
I loved
every second.
I loved the little threesome at the end. It's fine.
Ooh.
Yeah, 3 times at the end there. Of the brave.
Still going.
Of the brave. Of the brave.
I think he missed a potential fourth there. We could really taken it up to a higher octave.
Everyone's saying he's not a rapper; he's a hype man, but he raps. I mean, that was like my favorite band my senior year of high school. 911 is a joke. He raps. He's not the world's greatest rapper, but he is a rapper.
I love Flavor.
He did more than just walking around going, "Yeah, come on." I mean, he did a lot of that, but he's a rapper. I said, I played baseball 10 years. I'm not a baseball player. Sure you are. Sure you are. You didn't play at the highest level. You weren't in Public Enemy, but you played. You didn't play for the Yankees, but you were a baseball player. You played baseball. He's a rapper, in my opinion. These are semantics. It was really not a great version of the Star Spangled Banner.
Not the best.
Yeah. He gave it his all.
He did. That's all you can ask for. This really bummed me out.
Yeah,
To
gentlemen.
no end.
This,
it really did.
I saw this, 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon on Saturday.
Couldn't believe
was
it.
Just devastated. We do have to do a little shout out to his family.
And I really hope we can see more unity and more peace when already things are so difficult.
It's true.
So, shout out to his family.
Rest in peace, Matthew Perry, from most notably known as Chandler and Friends. He passed away over the weekend, drowned in his hot tub, is what the reports are saying. He was only 54 years old.
Had it rough, man.
If you followed his story at all, he had his demons. The man had his demons, even as far back as when they were filming Friends. He said in his memoir last year, I don't remember 3 seasons of Friends, filming it.
Yeah,
he was on
booze pills,
Vicodin, Oxy, you name it. But man, to see that story, and we don't know, the reports I read on TMZ from their law enforcement sources all said no drugs or foul play was suspected. He had just gotten back from playing pickleball for a couple of hours.
Big pickleball guy.
Soak in the hot tub.
He loved his hot tub. That's one thing. I
his last Instagram post.
I looked at his Instagram. His last few were taken outside, seemingly from his hot tub, but he spent a lot of time in there. There's a million things you can speculate on. I don't know what happened, but the word is that he did drown in his hot tub. Could have hit his head. You just never know. A heart attack, something like that. But I was really bummed, man, when I saw this. I thought he was... even the black-hearted cynic, everything's not cool enough. I loved Friends. I thought it was great.
It's an all-time
classic,
great sitcom.
Yeah.
Maybe not my favorite of all time, but it's certainly in the pantheon. Legendary sitcoms.
Took the world by storm when it kind of came out and got going. He was brilliant in it.
Well, I would say if you
this.
took Matthew Perry out of Friends, it's a terrible show.
Yeah, it's nowhere near
It would be
as
a
good.
terrible show. He was the difference maker on that show.
Brought the sarcasm, the wit.
A very needed element, because the rest of the show would have fallen flat without his contributions.
I loved him, dude. I thought he was so funny, and just again, I had a lot of sympathy for him, and a lot of empathy for him for what he's gone through. Always hard to live that kind of lifestyle. Very hard to do it in a public manner. And he was a real advocate for people with addiction problems as well, and learned a lot of things the hard way, but wanted to help. I think towards the end of his life, that's really what he wanted to do the most, was help. And I just felt so sad when I saw this, and it just man, you think about it, like, so he was also in that movie, which I enjoyed, The Whole 9 Yards with Bruce Willis.
Yeah.
I thought about that movie, dude, and Bruce now has dementia and is not doing
not
great.
going
Matthew
well.
Perry's gone. The guy that played John Coffey in Green Mile, he passed away. All the guy, like the big guys from that movie, I'm like, bro, it's getting, you know, you're getting old. You're getting old, and you start to look at that stuff, and it makes me like fan myself. You're like, the end is near for all of us. It just really domes you out, man. 54 years old is just way too young. Way too young.
The tortured comedians. I mean, it's just
Yeah.
you never know
What they're
what's
fighting.
going on
Yeah.
inside. You can see a person outside. You can see them 100 times. You still never know what is going on the inside with someone.
I know a ton of celebrities over the weekend shared their condolences. I didn't really, I didn't
haven't
look
yet.
super hard. I haven't seen
They haven't
anything
yet.
from the cast members of Friends.
They have some of the like Janice, you know, Janice that he dated in the show, who's brilliant. She wrote a really nice note about him, but nothing from the. I'm sure they're devastated.
On
dude.
Max, like 2 years ago, maybe last year, they did the Friends reunion where they brought out the set, and it was the first time that all 6 of them had been together in a room since the finale. I know the girls are still like super tight. Courtney, Jennifer, and
Phoebe.
I don't remember.
Lisa
Kudrow. But man, it just was such a bummer on
Such a
Saturday.
bummer.
But
I was so bummed.
I guess
man.
there's always some party that's like, you know what? He's at peace, man. He had a rough, like 20 plus years now.
Maybe even a rough
Maybe
longer
longer.
than that. Yeah,
And
yeah. I was really
shout
bummed.
out to his
It
family.
made me sad. It made me sad because he made me laugh a ton of times, and it just really bummed me out when I saw that.
Can we rank our favorite Friends?
Sure.
Chandler number
Chandler
one.
number 1. I think I've been thinking about this all morning now. I think Joey made me laugh the second most amount of times, but then it's probably Rachel, then Phoebe, then Ross, then Monica.
We're close. I would go Chandler, Phoebe, Joey, Rachel, Gunther, Ross, and Monica. Like, I didn't like the Gellers.
I liked the Geller. I liked Ross a lot, but I liked Chandler more. Ross made me laugh a ton because he's such a nerd.
Just such a dope.
He was a dope, but he was also like I don't know that I've ever cried harder than when Ross and Rachel got together. When she walks across the room and kisses him I was done. I was done for. That was the most romantic, sweetest thing I've ever seen. So I'm a big Ross guy, but I go Chandler was my number 1 as well, and then probably Ross, then Rachel, then Joey, then Phoebe, then Monica.
Phoebe could go a whole episode. You wouldn't even notice her, but
Right.
could then deliver just the funniest line.
killed
all of a
me.
sudden.
Sometimes though,
She was
Phoebe
so
wore
damn
me out.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Smelly cat.
Awful.
Smelly cat.
Terrible. But I was so bummed by it. I was so bummed. So,
I like the
you
one
know
where
what I didn't.
Monica makes the trifle with the
No,
meat.
the trifles nice meat. Good.
Jelly. Yeah.
Good. You know, his stepdad was Keith Morrison. I did not know that.
Yeah.
His mom and dad split when he was like 3, and she married Keith Morrison. The guy from, Keith Morrison.
Dateline?
Dateline.
Oh, that Keith
yeah,
Morrison.
Keith Morrison.
Oh.
They had, unfortunately, they got pictures of them all showing up to the house, which just feels so bad.
I did not like that.
I didn't like
all.
it at all. But I didn't know that. I didn't know Keith Morrison was his stepdad. Oh.
All right, we'll come back. We have those Chris Stapleton tickets to give away. So, big concert coming up to Petco Park. Your chance to win coming up next with Ben and Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station. Check a traffic here on 97.3 The Fan. Still talking Friends during the break here.
Some of the best cameos ever. Tom Selleck, you mentioned. Richard. So good.
He was a little too old for Monica, but he was great.
Hey, relax over there. Relax. I don't look like him, nor am I a wealthy ophthalmologist. I believe he was an ophthalmologist. Brad Pitt was made a cameo in Friends. I mean, it was a thing. It lost its luster, as most shows that go on too long do.
We talked about Friends like a week or two ago. When
we did.
Were
We did not talk
finales.
about Matthew Perry, though.
We did not. No. But we were talking about finales, and I still think their finale, as far as sitcom finales goes,
they wrap it up.
It blew Seinfeld out of the water.
It did. They wrapped it up.
I loved their finale.
They wrapped it up nicely, and that's all you can ask for.
This plane doesn't even have a phalange.
Still so bummed about that news, though.
I got a Juan Soto question for you.
It's a great segue.
Just saw the new report this morning. Bob Nightingale writing about Juan Soto. Nothing new. MLB executives continue to believe that Padres all-star outfielder Juan Soto, who had 274 with 35 homers, 109 RBI, will be traded this winter. Padres need to slash payroll. Soto expected to command about $33 million in salary arbitration, according to MLB trade rumors. Here's my question. Do you think A.J. Preller has already made up his mind on what he's doing with Juan Soto and is now, just exploring the best possibilities? Or is it truly could go either way? I mean, if Juan Soto came up and said, I am willing to sign a contract extension, that they're still more than happy to keep Juan Soto around. But if he's not, have they already made the decision, we're going to trade him and we're just going to try to get the most we can for him at this point? Or is it truly hey, if we don't get enough, if they don't offer enough for him, we're not just going to give him up for less than we think he's worth at this point?
Well, the problem is, in my opinion, is that you're never going to get what you feel is enough for Juan Soto. So if you go the route that the Boston Red Sox did when they traded Mookie Betts, I believe it was wasn't it the exact same circumstance, Ben? Was it one year left?
Yeah.
Not only did they get some prospects back and an everyday outfielder in Alex Verdugo, who's not Mookie Betts, make no mistake, but they were also able to attach David Price. And the Dodgers were happy to pay $70-some-odd million to clear some payroll. So as much as I don't want to do it, I don't even want to entertain it, that I want to trade Juan Soto, because I do not. I don't know if you ever feel like you're going to get enough back for a Juan Soto. I do think, if you do end up moving him, please move him somewhere where he's going to hurt you the least amount of the rest of his career. Honestly, like East Coast, someone you're not going to.
They tried that with Adrian Gonzalez, and somehow he ended up back with the
Dodgers anyway.
Yeah.
Right. And just murdering the Padres in every opportunity.
You can never guarantee what happens after you trade them away.
Yeah, and listen, if you're the team that trades for Juan Soto, there's no guarantee he signs with you. I mean, he is still, after all, a Scott Boras client. So I think there's so many moving parts that we don't even know about. You ask the question, have they made up their mind? I don't think they have. I think they would be foolish to have made up their mind.
I agree with you. I do believe that if someone came with an offer that they felt like that's pretty close to fair, maybe not quite what we gave up for him, but we're getting a lot back in this deal, you'd be foolish not to probably say yes at this point, with no guarantee of re-signing him. If you get a really good offer, you definitely have to consider it. But I don't think there's a mandate like, hey, if we can't unload, we have to give him for something. We just have to get rid of the salary for next year.
No, I don't think they're in that position.
I don't either.
I don't think they're in that position right now. The trade needs to be, I would say, almost universally lauded at this point in A.J. Preller's tenure. It's got to be like, oh, man, they got back bam, bam, and bam, and they were able to unload whatever.
I'd also be surprised if they unloaded a contract. Which one would it be? I mean, Yu Darvish, Jake Cronenworth. I mean, neither of those have really even kicked in as extensions yet. Don't you have to give them a chance to, show value at some point?
I mean, if it's there and you can unload, if you can
trade Yu Darvish, one of your only two pitchers that you have under contract.
I can't see that. But Jake, again, they saw something in Jake. Have they completely lost the faith in what they had seen in Jake Cronenworth? Because, if this contract doesn't work out, you think, we're 3 years into a 7-year deal. It's time to unload him. They're 0 years into a 7-year deal. That's rarely the time that you start unloading a guy from a contract on the 0 year of a 7-year deal.
I mean, somebody's going to have to play second base, and Hassan Kim's going to be a free agent too. Are you 100% re-signing
I just don't know
him?
that anyone is really a target for unloading at this point.
Yeah, there's no real bloated David Price type contract. I mean, the most bloated pitcher contract is probably Yu Darvish, like you said, but
and the most bloated player contract is Xander Bogaerts, but he's got a no-trade clause, and I don't see him going anywhere. So I don't necessarily see an unloading of salaries for the Padres this offseason.
I don't either. I don't either. You got it. Like I said, though, it needs to be a trade that's pretty universally lauded. You know, and I do feel like what the Nats got back for Juan Soto was everyone said, yeah, good deal for them. It sucks. He turned down a lot of money from you. He wasn't coming back clearly, so you had to get rid of him. I don't know that we're in a position. I think my gut still tells me we're in a position to try to go for it next year, and you do that with Juan Soto. And if he walks at the end, I don't know that that's on you necessarily. You didn't re-sign him. He didn't want to re-sign here. They're really good. I mean, like, just take a page from this Bomel book then, and just say, "Oh no, we offered him this."
It's somewhat on you if you can't convince him to stay. That's on you.
Sure.
Just like it was not trading Blake Snell and Josh Hader and eventually missing the playoffs. That was a missed opportunity. That is on A.J. Preller and the Padres.
Correct.
So, doesn't absolve you of the responsibility, but it does take two to tango in this case. All right, it is time to give away 2 tickets to see Chris Stapleton at Petco Park. It's not happening until March 2nd, but tickets go on sale this Friday at 10 a.m. at Ticketmaster.com. They will be hot seats. You can have yours before everybody else, though, by being the 6th caller right now at 833-288-0973. 6th caller wins a pair of tickets to Chris Stapleton. Honestly, got to be one of the hottest acts in the world right now.
No question.
Maybe behind Taylor Swift, but not much. 833-288-0973. 6th caller wins right now from 97.3 The Fan. We'll be right back to wrap things up next here on Fan. We hadn't been talking about 7 Mile for a couple of weeks. It's good to have them back. We missed them. We love talking about our favorite card room. Really just a great place to hang in San Diego. It's so easy to get to. Drove by it a million times down off the 5 freeway there in Chula Vista. Didn't really know what was inside. Kind of had low expectations when I walked in the first time, blown away.
Yeah.
This place is phenomenal. Really nice, comfortable, no smoke, no slot machines, friendly dealers, upscale atmosphere, everything I've ever looking for in a card room. And it was sitting right there as easy as you could get to.
And after spending a couple of nights in Vegas, if I never see a slot machine again, it will be too soon. 7 Mile Casino is for card players. Go in there, play some California-style blackjack. You will not regret it, Benny.
No, and you can head to Sammy's at 7 Mile. It's Sammy's Wood-Fired Pizza. Come to the South Bay. They're doing an award-winning brunch now on the weekends, Saturdays and Sundays. You can check it out at 9 a.m. to 3 p.m., plus the 24/7 players menu. Not the usual Sammy's fare. They've got Asian classics, the Kung Pao chicken, off the charts. So good. They're doing tacos now as well, and they really do it all so well, so you need to check it out at Sammy's at 7 Mile.
It's just 7 minutes from downtown.
Congratulations to Eric, won our first pair of Chris Stapleton tickets. But fear not, if you do not win today, we will have more to give away tomorrow and the next day. And the next day, as they get ready to go on sale again Friday at 10 a.m. at Ticketmaster.com. We continued our Juan Soto trade discussion during the break. And I think there is a divergence of opinions here. I want to follow up on what would be a decent return for Juan Soto if you did trade him when we come back after traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
We're still seeing quite a bit of activity on our roads this morning, or inactivity if you want to count this stalled car taking up the 2 right lanes. Northbound side of the 805 right before Market Street. Also northbound 5 before Pacific Highway, there is a collision over the right shoulder. Still going to find on the North 5 coastline past Delmar Heights Road, the right lane blocked, that multi-vehicle accident that's been causing people headaches all morning. Eastbound side of the 8, just past the 15, there is a collision over the right shoulder. A couple vehicles involved in that. Northbound side of the 125 before Spring Street, we have reports of a stalled vehicle blocking the slow lane. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben and Wood, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Paulie, you made the argument that you just don't want to be known as the team that traded a potentially Hall of Famer, generational talent like Juan Soto. That you never get out from under that stain.
Not when we've seen what he can do. Like,
when you let a guy like that get
he's
away.
on an A-ball. Like,
now, you're not wrong. Trades like that have haunted the Padres and other teams throughout baseball history. Guys have gone on to bigger and better things after they left. Ozzie Smith, could have been a Padre
Fred
for life. Was not. They traded him early in his career. I would argue, though, that you kind of have to dismiss that thinking because you're not trading the rest of Juan Soto's career for whatever you're getting, a couple of prospects. You're trading 1 year of Juan Soto. That's all you're guaranteed. Not anything more than 1 season of Juan Soto.
a season in which this is part of your window to contend for a World Series championship. You already blew 1 year of those out in last season. So you're supposed to restock and try to come back and run it back in 2024. You already lost to Cy Young. You're going to lose the best closer in baseball. Why not make it the trifecta and just get rid of one of the best hitters in baseball too?
Again, it's if you're going to be a sensible GM who has painted himself into a financial corner, as far as we know, again, have not heard from the owner on what the payroll is going to be. We know what we hear. We know what we read. We know about the debt service and all that mess. Again, we said it last week. Peter Seidler knew that was coming, has a plan for it, I'm hoping. How much have plans changed? I don't know. But it remains to be seen what he can and can't do. He's going to get a raise in arbitration, about $33 million. So that's a decent chunk of change for a guy. I'm a fearless GM that doesn't care about anybody's facts or feelings or emotions. I'm trading Juan Soto and I'm trading Ha-Seong Kim when his value is the highest, and I'm reloading and hoping that in next year, the year after, Marcy and Salas and some of these guys come up, and then you turn into a team with a few superstars and some young up-and-comers. It sucks. I don't want that. I think that's that means next season when you trade Juan Soto, how do you say we're going for a World Series championship here, but we've just traded Juan Soto?
You can't. I mean, Paulie's right that there's no way the 2024 Padres can be improved by trading Juan Soto.
Correct.
I mean, outside of the extreme circumstances that Juan arrives at his new team and immediately, tears an Achilles, in his first batting practice and is out for the season, and Padres pick up a couple of prospects who end up having decent rookie seasons. Yes, in that sense, you'd be better off with the trade results. But in no realistic world will the Padres be better in 2024 without Juan Soto. Juan Soto is the best possible option for 2024.
What in the... Did you vomit in your mouth?
Felt like it.
Was that vomit?
It was not. It's just too enthusiastic making of a point.
Like swallowed your soul.
Didn't come with the stomach noise, but that pretty much something felt like it.
Any liquid or
no? It was dry.
Are you okay?
Just a dry.
That wasn't a burp.
No, it wasn't quite that either. I'm not sure what it was. Where was I?
I don't know. I really am thrown for a loop. I can't wait to hear that again. Yeah, I think you were talking about Brady Hope.
The question is,
holy crap.
Is whatever your chances that you're diminishing in 2024. If you can increase your chances in 2025, 2026, 2027, 2028, and 2029
that's
at the expense of a 2024 run that may still happen. There's no saying that even though the Padres may not be as good with Juan Soto, they could still be good enough without him.
We
because
went to the NLCS without Fernando Tatis Jr.
You have good players still, and you may not need Juan Soto to make a great run and have a great season in 2024.
Boy, he helps.
He does help.
Talking yourself into that one, I think.
But if you can make yourself better in the many years to come after that, that's the equation that you're trying to balance, that you're looking at from all the sides, and how much value is there toward what's out there, and how much value is there for the 1 year of Juan Soto?
You know, man, and it's funny because Peter Seidler has done something to us as a fan base, and I think it's, inherently it was a good thing. Missing the playoffs last year really threw it for a loop. Because, again, you give the owner and the fans a taste of a long, prolonged run in the postseason, right? What owner isn't going to go, let's keep this thing rolling. Let's keep it rolling. What do we need to do now? Right? Let's keep it going. The revenue they missed out on in the playoffs is tremendous. If they had gone on a long playoff run, and they did have a team, when healthy, you did feel like they were built for October. They just didn't get to October. But I think we got to feel like players, Ben, for how long exactly? One season. The San Diego Padres got to feel like they had a chair at the big table. It doesn't guarantee you success. Look at the Mets. Look at the Yankees. The two teams above them in payroll. Neither of them sniffed the postseason either. You felt like a player for 1 year. So now we're back to it's time to cut some costs here. If you're going to cut costs and rebuild and start to think about the future, and I don't know that you can look at it as anything other than a rebuild. It's not a teardown. It's not a teardown at all. You're not allowed to tear down.
It's a remodel.
It's a remodel. It's putting the new kitchen into a house that's falling apart. And I understand that. You have to do that. The decisions he has to make, he's got, again, Ha-Seong Kim, I love him. I want him to be a Padre for life. A, can they afford him? B, is he going to continue to go up? He's proved. You gave Jake Cronenworth an extension when he was in decline. Ha-Seong Kim is improving every year. He's going to need a new contract in a year. Is he going to continue to improve? That's the gamble that you take. So if you wanted to just unload all the guys that are coming up for free agency and restock and then hope some of these guys hit at the big league level for really the first time in your tenure, okay, if that's the plan, what choice do we have, right? Nothing he does is going to surprise me. But 2024, I'd be a little less excited going into next season with an outfield of Profar, Grisham, and Tatis, and then you add a first baseman, maybe Jake's back at first, whatever. But I don't know, man. I think it feels like a huge step backwards. I also understand if they feel they need to do it. I doesn't mean I'm not going to rip you for it. Because you painted yourself in this corner, you got to figure out a way out of it. Now, Juan Soto, again, what's he going to command on the open market if you do re-sign him? How hamstrung does that make you for the next 10 years? I have no idea. Feels like a lot, though. It feels like a lot.
If Juan Soto is traded, you can be envious of every single home run, RBI, base hit, walk that he gets in 2024. But you can't really covet anything beyond that. The first home run he hits in 2025 wasn't yours. You didn't give that up.
Unless you had re-signed him, and
well,
if you can't do it,
but if
they can't do it, if they're unable to re-sign him, isn't that a problem?
Isn't it a problem for all? Shouldn't all 30 teams want to sign Juan Soto?
One would think.
So there are 29 teams that will miss out on 2025 and beyond Juan Soto?
If he does in fact hit free agency after whoever rents him for next season. And they have the onus is on them to re-sign him if they do in fact trade him. But yeah, I mean, realistically, probably 20 teams should be after him. 25. There's certain teams that he's not going to be a Royal. He's not going to be a Ray.
I guess why wouldn't they have just traded him at the deadline this year?
Last year and got
This
more
last season.
for him because they still believed they were in it.
And what have we been talking about until they don't? Until they don't extend him, like that should still be the primary way of thinking.
But if you go into this season with Juan Soto and the contract extension either hasn't been offered or hasn't been signed, how's that work? Are you praying you're in it in July and then you move him then for less than you can get him for now?
Well, that's even worse.
It's worse.
Because then you've kept him and you had another bad season.
Right.
I mean, if they keep Juan Soto, you better be fully prepared to keep him for the whole year. Because I'd hope with Juan Soto and Tatis and Machado and Bogarts in the lineup that you couldn't possibly struggle as badly as you did this year. That you will just, by human nature, the force of the world's balancing out, you will be in playoff contention or in playoff position in August, late July. So you won't be trading Juan Soto. And if things go that badly, then you should have traded him before the season started. If you're that bad with Juan Soto on your team that you even think it's a possibility that you're going to trade him in July, then just trade him now. Otherwise, then what are we doing here? You have no confidence that a team with that many stars can even be in legitimate playoff contention? Trading him at the deadline in 2024 is not, to me, a serious possibility. He's either here all year or he's traded in the offseason. Or he's extended at some point. But anything else doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, it's going to be really, really interesting. And again, you're talking about in Ha-Seong Kim, that name, nobody wants to see that. The guy plays harder than anybody on that entire roster. But again, he's earned free agency. He's earned the right to a big payday as well. You've extended guys that don't play as hard as him. You've extended guys that are declining more than He's not declining. He's inclining. How long will that last? Why don't we trust inherently that he's just going to continue to get better? I think some do, some don't. The value is highest for Ha-Seong Kim. It's higher than it's ever been. He's got a year left on his deal. I mean, a GM with truly no heart would say, all right, Kim, you're going to go to St. Louis and we're going to get these arms back. And Soto, you're going to the Yankees and we're going to get these arms back. And then Marcy's going to come up and Salas is going to come up. And the next wave, Jackson Merrill's going to come up. We'll figure out where they're all going to play. And now we really ride. But you got 2 more years on Manny's body and Xander's body, Tatis's body. Where's he playing? I mean, it's a big onion.
By the way, for the Fire Preller crowd that's out there, if I was a new GM coming in, I'd absolutely tear down. Because that gives you a long runway to start building back up.
Absolutely.
A new GM should immediately trade Juan Soto, shed anything that they can shed on other contracts, build up the farm system as much as possible, give yourself as much flexibility over the next 3 years to actually
go out and get
bring in players that you want to bring in.
Your guys.
You're going to see more of a teardown. If they did get rid of AJ, you'd see much more of a teardown of the Padres than keeping AJ, who has a vested interest in making these guys that are currently on the field successful. The guys that he picked, he wants to be successful. A new GM, it'd be nice to be successful with the old players, but really you want to be successful with your guys that you bring in.
And he's traded away so much of the talent that he has scouted and drafted, and he gets a lot of credit for, certainly. But, man, when you look at the big league roster as it stands today, you don't see AJ's drafting acumen and scouting and development acumen on that roster, right? It's guys that were brought in by using the guys that you've scouted and drafted and developed in some cases. So the thing that cannot happen is this. Re-signing Juan Soto and then trading all of these guys that you've just spent a year building back up. We have no doubt that he can replenish the farm. He's shown that he can do that over and over. But to get a frontline starting pitcher and you have to trade a Marcy or a Salas or a Merrill, that's when you just feel like you're taking steps backwards. You know, you're bringing in a high-priced pitcher, and it took you 2 really good prospects to get him. That's when you feel like, all right, we're continuing in the same pattern.
I mean,
here.
It's a valid strategy. It
hasn't worked.
The piper that is going to be paid at some point just gets bigger and bigger. It's like going deeper and deeper into credit card debt, and you just feel like, okay, this is the if I buy this, then I'll get out of it.
You can pay your minimum for a couple of months. Yeah, exactly.
And, and if you keep trading, eventually it's going to catch up to you. And the bill that will be due when everyone ages and you haven't won anything and you've cleared out your farm system, you could be left with one of the worst situations in baseball in 2 or 3 years.
Correct.
If some of these moves don't work out.
And then you're talking about full fire sale, tear down, whatever term you want to use
like
for
years
it,
of pain to get back to a base level where you can start over again.
More years.
That's not what Peter Seidler wants. I know that.
Correct.
He wants to keep trying to win. All right, that's all for us today. Interesting Monday program. It's
I'm
good to be back.
interested to hear your vomit tomorrow.
I don't know if there was there a lot of noise that went with it, or was it more of a...
No, it was. We'll have it in the morning.
Right.
Yeah.
Tune in to Foreplay tomorrow.
I'd like to kick off the show with it. I thought he threw up in his mouth.
Anyways, what I was saying about one...
There was...
I missed you so much.
There was a moment of panic over here.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. I was wondering.
For executive producer and imaging director Paul Reindl, for Stephen Woods, I'm Ben Higgins. Coach Braden coming up next here on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.